All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Friday, July 31st, 2026. My name is Rob Carter. Welcome to the future. Number one podcast in America. Today, Isaiah, we're going to go through the case of Charlie Kirk, something I've
Exciting.
paid attention from afar. I didn't want to really jump into it because emotions are so high on it. If you support what Candace Owens is doing, you're a right-wing lunatic idiot who just doesn't pay attention to the information. If you're against Candace Owens, then you are a Fed slop monkey dummy who's right. So it's just all over the place. We'll bring Candace Owens into the conversation. But the reason I want to have this open conversation with people that pay attention to the show is I believe everything ties together. You and I were talking about local politics. You said, Rob, you should come in on, we were just talking about, you said, Rob, you should come in on Tuesday. And I said, I can't come in on Tuesday for the primaries. We'll get interviews from the polls.
And so your smoking hot wife.
We got stuff going on. Exactly. and I agree 100%. I would normally want to be there for Missouri politics. But Missouri politics is very similar to every state's politics, which is very connected to federal politics, which is really run by international politics. And when you see all those things combined together, that's why we're all over the place with the show. People don't understand it. You get somebody like Candace Owens, her entire show is about the investigation of Charlie Kirk, an independent, decentralized debate, conversation, information sharing. That's her whole show. Then you go to a guy like Stu Peters. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. That's his entire
Jew Peters, what I call him.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's his entire show. And people like that, right? They want to come in. They feel comfortable. They're like, oh, I'm going to go watch Stu Peters because I want to hear him rip on how the Jews are taking over America. Or I want to go to Nick Fuentes because he's a young guy who's recognizing a hole in the information space. He says that nobody's paying attention to what's going on with Israel, but then he kind of beats back on certain issues that I disagree with him on as well. Mm-hmm. What we look at is the totality. So if you're a longtime listener of the show, you'll start to recognize that what we are recognizing, pattern recognition, Isaiah, very much like Charlie Kirk tried to explain, is once you see the patterns, you're going to see them everywhere. You're not going to see them just in your local politics for your school board. You're going to see those politics in state politics, those state politics in every state's politics being driven by a nationwide agenda that is controlled by big money from the big international corporations and the money printers of the world. And you'll see all of those different issues start to tie together. And, that's why people, I think, like the show when they listen to it for a long period of time, because they start to see exactly what we're talking about. And you can't escape it. You really cannot escape it.
Someone on X was telling me, don't you know, Isaiah, that the government hates you and that both parties, it's not just it's not a party system. I said, yeah, I don't know if you listen to the show, but we talk about that every single day on the show.
Exactly. But yesterday was about tribalism just a little bit. I think one of the biggest problems we have as a society is we see things through a right-left paradigm. Everything has become political. And if you take the side, if I agree with Candace Owens on one thing she says, then the people that have determined that Candace Owens is an evil whatever, well, then they think that I'm aligned with Candace Owens on everything that she says.
Yeah. You know what opened my eyes to this kind of behavior was The Lord of the Flies.
Never saw it.
Really? You didn't? I read the book.
I never watched any of that stuff. I didn't watch any of those trilogies.
They made us read the book in sociology in college.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, very, very interesting. It's basically all these young kids who get they crash on an island, and then it just shows how the structure of society and how they're dominating, and they eventually someone kills another boy and just gets out of control, and shows how chaos can ensue in society, basically.
Well, I think what's happening now is the chaos is paralyzing society. That's really the underlying theme of my show. And because we are not able to organize ourselves, then we're just floating out into the ocean, and we'll see what happens. And I'm just saying, if you see the assassination of Charlie Kirk, if you watch all of the media propaganda that is not true, if you fall for COVID, if you fall for climate change, if you fall for open borders, if you fall for the Patriot Act, if you fall for these things over and over again, it's all leading in the same direction. And it's not freedom and liberty. It is totalitarianism and control. And people just have to recognize that at some point. And I don't know when that's going to be, Isaiah. I don't know if ever. We hope that it happens, and we're very optimistic that we can, play our little role in getting out this information to people and let them make their own decisions. But I think if you're being honest with yourself some of the things, even me, Isaiah, maybe you as well, some of the things that we believe are demonstrably untrue. And the reason we believe them, or the reason it's in the back of our heads, is
Yeah.
because of nonstop conditioning, propaganda, schooling, the whole thing. And I want to address that today with Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk, for me, I did not understand the influence that he had. So when I look at his assassination in broad daylight at a college campus event where security didn't check the rooftops, I immediately say, okay, why was Charlie Kirk killed? Not who, because who, we could go on about who for a million years, and you're going to get, no matter how much information
Yeah.
Candace Owens brings to the table, you're going to have somebody on the outside poke holes in her information.
Yeah.
No matter
JFK's assassination shows us that.
same thing. It's all the same. It's just this is the way it works. There's confusion with the narrative, and then nobody knows what's going on. So before we get into Charlie Kirk, I just want to say that we'll talk about Candace Owens, because she is, she's kind of the sun, right? She's the central source of information right now on the Charlie Kirk investigation, outside of what we're getting from the mainstream press, outside of what we're getting from the FBI. Those sources are in complete odds with one another. What Candace Owens does is she takes apart the people within Turning Point USA, which I get. You got to know the people to know what's going on. I don't want to get familiarized with every single person that worked at Turning Point USA. So we'll do this from a high level. And I would really ask everybody in the app, what is your opinion on these things? How do you guys see it? Because I'll just say right now that the story that comes from the feds, in my opinion, Isaiah, and I don't want to be mean, you have to really use some mental gymnastics to believe their story. That's number
Yeah.
one. So once you say the story just doesn't really jive with my common sense, part two is, why are they holding back information? Why are they so insistent that we believe this story? Why are they so aggressive to people that want more and more information? Why aren't they releasing certain things? Why are they hiding certain things? Why was it in Utah? Why was Charlie Kirk speaking out against big Jewish donors? And why was the first question asked to Charlie Kirk at the last day of his life about transgenderism, and then boom,
Hmm.
does it not feel movie scripted, right? So you have
Yeah.
a question about transgenderism from the front row, and then boom, he dies. Then we have these cockamamie stories about, the carrying the gun in his pants and jumping off the roof and assembling it on the roof, disassembling it on the roof, then putting it together back in the woods, and then going for ice cream, and then going for steak dinners. And you start listening to all this stuff, and you go, I don't know. The story doesn't make any sense, but I don't know that I trust Candace either.
Mhm. And the problem that I have is that the people that are, and we'll get into this. I saw some of the clips that you had put up, but the people that are parroting the story from the feds are the people that typically are the paid shills
Exactly.
that we've seen. And so, and I know I'm not going to name any. I know we'll get into that, but that's the problem that I have. Just being someone who watched and learned from Charlie Kirk.
Do you
Uh,
think that a guy like Benny Johnson is a legitimate source of news or a paid shill?
a paid shill.
But how?
I
But
think
not,
you can
of
get some. I think you can get some information from him.
course.
Not saying that, right? You can get some information and maybe some good information even. However, the source of how he became famous, being a MAGA influencer, is suspicious. Like we always talk about, Rob. It's like, oh, where did this person come from? Just rise to fame all of a sudden, and they're the biggest streamer for MAGA. It's
Well, how do they
crazy.
get, how do they get so popular with so little talent?
Yeah, he's a
Right.
script reader too.
That's what I'm saying. But how do you get so? There's a lot of people that are very powerful on social media that don't have a lot of talent. And I mean, I'm just
Maybe we just got to learn to read scripts, Rob.
but clearly you have to learn how to read scripts. There's no doubt about that. Anybody who's just free flowing and talking to people and interviewing and asking questions and trying to figure out what's going on, that's not
That's too
acceptable.
much free thinking. Okay.
Too much free thinking for our liking. All right, let me start. I want to make a point. Can I start with a point?
Of course.
Let's just start with one and two, Isaiah. So let's start with Fox News, and I want you to be ready to pause this, because I just want to explain how I look at news, and I want people to start doing this. If we could have our army of people that pay attention to the news and are really trying to figure things out, that
Ants.
yeah, there's an interest in understanding the world around you. We're all trying to figure out what is really taking place in our world. Now, if that's something that doesn't interest you, then of course you wouldn't be listening to my show. You're going to live in the cocoon that has been built for you, the perceptions that have been shoved down your throat for 100 years, and you're going to live in that system, and you're going to be fine within that system, and you're going to accept it for what it is, and you're just not a curious person, and your life and your surroundings and your comfort is more important than actually understanding the world in general. I get it. I'm not mad at those people. But for us, we are curious about what goes on in the world. It's what we think about, and we're like, well, how does this whole thing jive? How does this make sense? And why is this happening? And when you get consumed with your curiosity, you end up paying attention to the Rob Carter show because we're just as curious as you are. And we don't claim to have all the answers. We have some answers. There's answers that I know for 100% certain in my own mind, at least. I've done the research to know certain things. One of them is the Democrat and Republican situation. It's especially at the federal level, but probably everywhere. It's just ridiculous. There's so much evidence that these two teams work on. There's so much evidence that these two teams are on the same side because they're both controlled by the same money that it's almost it becomes. I feel stupid explaining it over and over again because
You
it's so
just see
obvious.
that Americans for Prosperity is backed by George Soros.
Well, that's what I mean. Perfect example. You have Jared Kushner that was getting loans from George Soros. The right hates George. Just for a perfect example, the right hates George Soros. He's been aligned with the Clintons for a long, long time. Everybody says they hate George Soros. George Soros is the devil. Yet Jared Kushner, the son-in-law, who was sitting right next to Donald Trump in the White House and married his daughter, who converted to
Board
Judaism.
of Peace.
Board of Board of Peace. He took a $25 million loan for a business called Cadre from George Soros and George Soros. George Soros bought up the second largest media operation in the entire country and ran 97.1 and KMOX radio right here in town. Vivek Ramaswamy praised George Soros and wrote articles about George Soros. Now he's the governor of Ohio. But our main concern, of course, as you know, Isaiah, is China. Okay. Let me move to Israeli state TV just to show people how I look at everything. So when I'm watching the news, as soon as I see, and people should kind of correlate this with COVID. Remember when COVID and everybody came on and they were the experts, and you had the Rochelle Walensky's and you had the Dr. Fauci's and the Deborah Burks, and you had all these people coming on, Scott Gottlieb, and they would come on Hotez that was on CNN, and they would come out and they'd be in their lab coats and they would tell you that they were doctors and they would tell you that they knew all of the information and you had to wear your mask and you better get your vaccine as soon as they come out. And when you get your vaccines every month, you're going to need a booster, and we're going to be able to escape this enormously powerful virus that had a 0.02 kill rate with the wrong medicines. That's the reality now that we know what's going on. Even Dr. Fauci put it in his diary, 0.02 to 0.03 kill rate. And you have to remember it was a kill rate with all of the wrong medication, all of the wrong protocols. So it was a fake pandemic from jump. It was a media concocted, political concocted, global con job, period, full stop. That's exactly what happened. I followed it from the very beginning, and I'm positive that that was just a big scam. And I think most people are. And they still follow Donald Trump despite the fact that he was right in the middle of it if he didn't originate it from the very beginning. And again, I don't know what's going on with Donald, but why can't we ask any questions? Why do we have to blindly follow Donald Trump? The guy from the 10th Amendment Center, I posted this on Facebook. He said the dumbest thing you can possibly do is fall in love with a politician. He said it is your duty as a citizen, as written, and I think he went to Madison and showed what Madison had to say about it. He said your duty is to hold power in check, not to fall in line and cheerlead for it with your pom-poms and go, I love Barack Obama. Oh, no, I love Bill Clinton. And you got your signs and your love affair. And he said that is the most anti-patriotic thing you can do. Patriotism questions power and continues to question power so that power reacts to the people. If you begin to react to the politicians, then the politicians own your soul and they'll do whatever they want to do. And you'll cheerlead because we're tribal by nature. And Bernays understood that. He explained that. I understand that. I think you understand that, Isaiah.
Yeah.
Trying to get more and more people on board with understanding how the world.
I know we're not talking about Missouri politics, but it's a good example is that I put out that post last night showing how Missouri Promises brought in an additional $5.6 million in the last 7 days since that 8-day report. And people are attacking me because they're saying, yes, that's true, but you're not talking about the other side right now, Isaiah. You're not talking about the Democrats and how much money they've raised. It's like, I'm not a Democrat, though. I'm a registered Republican. Like, can't I hold my own party accountable? That's what we're supposed to do, like you're saying.
We pay attention to power.
Yeah.
If the Democrats are in charge, we would be going after the Democrats. In the state of Missouri, when we talk about power, or pretty much power generally, it's run by the right and the Republican Party. So why would we care about a party that has no power? Why would we even bring that up into the conversation? The party in power in the state of Missouri for the past 20 years is the Republican Party. So that is the party we're paying attention to simply because they are in charge, not because we're trying to rip apart the GOP. We're trying to expose the GOP to either make it better or make it irrelevant, one of the two. Because I think we need an independent party. I think that party politics right now is so disgusting and ridiculous and embarrassing, quite honestly. And the people that fall into it are they just I don't know. There's a pit in my stomach that says, why can't you see what's really going on?
Did you see Joe Nicola's article he wrote this morning about debate?
No,
Yeah, he wrote a great article. I'll send it to you. He released it at 6 this morning, and
he's
just
a
about
friend
how
of the show. We'll get him on.
yeah, just how debate, is he's just disappointed to see that debate is not at the front and center, specifically for the Republican Party.
Joe Nicola, say what you want about Joe Nicola. I've had him on a couple times. I communicate back and forth with his chief of staff. He's a senator here in Missouri, if you're listening from around the country. Joe Nicola, for me, his heart's in the right place. I got to start there. So when your heart's in the right place, and even if I disagree with you on certain issues, I need your heart to be in the right place. Hemp Freedom says, I am cheating. Well, I'm cheating.
He's cheating on us.
No, is on no. I know.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's election season. We want you to listen to this.
Exactly. All right. Let's start with the Israeli state TV organization, Israeli State TV, Fox News. And I first want to establish where the news is taking everybody, the corporate news. They take you in one direction, and then what might be you know how magicians work, Isaiah?
Yeah.
It's the right hand. Pay attention to the right hand, the right hand, the right hand, and then the left hand is the one that's pulling the trick.
Yeah.
I believe that's what Fox News is all about. I think Fox News is the magicians of conservative information. They are magicians at redirection. They are magicians at creating war, supporting war, creating patriotism around the act of war, all of the things that I disagree with completely. That is Fox News. And I want to show you, just for example, how I look at news. You can make whatever determinations you want. So we'll play clip number one. This is a Fox News report talking about the ills of China, and then I want you to pay attention to something. So be ready to pause it, Isaiah. So it's clip number one. Fox News. China's the problem.
Welcome back. President Trump ordering a new round of strikes against Iran in retaliation for Tehran's failed missile attack on American forces last week. Iran reportedly receiving Chinese-made shoulder-launched missile systems as it attempts to rebuild its military capabilities. The potential weapons transfer raising new questions about Beijing's role in strengthening American adversaries. It also is deepening its ties with Russia and with North Korea, fueling concerns over a growing alignment of nations challenging American interests. Some describing it as, quote, the axis of aggressors.
Can you pause it, Isaiah?
Joining me now is the gate.
Okay, so it says China. No, leave that up. I'm gonna point this out. So it says China. This is Fox News exclusive with Maria Bartiromo. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea form axis of aggressors that could overwhelm U.S. Book warns. Okay, so just leave it on the screen because we want to talk about it here for just a second. So we have been told since I can remember that China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea and Iraq back in the day, those are our enemies. Correct?
The bad guys.
The bad guys. You have information coming out throughout for the last 50 years that says Russia was just Russia and the United States were in alignment with one another, but they used their hatred of one another to raise money for their politics within their country. So that has been widely reported for the last 50 years. China. If China's our enemy, I just want people to think clearly for just a second. If China is the enemy, then why would you build all of your product in China for the last 5, 6, 7 administrations? Why would you do that? Why would you say, wait a minute, China is the enemy. We know China is the enemy. We know China wants to infiltrate and destroy America. That's what we all understand. And yet we're going to make 90% of our goods in that particular country. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to say that they're the competitors, not enemies. Then they are enemies. Then they created a virus that we know came from Tony Fauci. Perfect example is the Tony Fauci with the COVID. So he's paying China, according to the story, for gain of function research. I say China and the United States are behind the scenes, buddy. If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So here's what you'd have to believe. You'd have to believe that Donald Trump and the Republicans think that Darth Fauci was building gain of function biological weapons in Wuhan, China, after he left Chapel Hill, North Carolina, because Barack Obama said he did not want gain of function research studied on American soil. So then Darth Fauci, who became the face of the Donald Trump COVID con job and warp speed, now we understand that this story, at least, that he was building biological weapons in China. Then we say China is the enemy, and we bring in, according to Donald Trump, 600,000 Chinese students to flood our colleges. Now, again, if you can think properly, if you still have that ability, which our audience does, you would recognize that that doesn't make any sense. If you have an enemy, you would not invite their young people into your colleges to learn the same things that American students are learning. You would not make all of your product and be completely dependent on a country that was your enemy. You would not build biological weapons or even allow somebody to do business on biological weapons in China originating out of the United States. You would not do that, or you'd be sentenced to prison. You'd be hung in the public square. That is just the reality. Should we be able to think properly? So let's just start from the premise that China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, they're not our enemies. They are our perceived enemies because of the propaganda. And I give you Fox News. Now, who wrote this article? Isaiah, can you see it down there at the bottom?
Efrat Lachter.
Okay, let's go to clip number 2. So Efrat Lachter is the origin of the piece that Fox
I already know where this name comes from.
Exactly, that Fox News is reporting on. So let's look up Efrat Lachter, and let's find out where she's from and what she's got going on.
All right,
that's number 2. I laid it out there for you.
Yep. No, I got it here. Interesting. Okay. War correspondent. All right, let's check this out.
Let's just see where she comes from. Let's see if she comes from, let's just see where she comes from.
America?
So there's Efrat Lachter. Okay, let's scroll down. Let's find out a little bit about her. Very pretty lady.
Documentary film there. Okay.
What do we know about her?
She holds a master's degree in political science,
Where's
bachelor's in communication.
Okay, skills, war coverage.
Investigative journalism makes sense with her background.
What's she investigating? When it says
gender-based. Oh, as Israel's first female war correspondent.
What?
Whoa!
You don't say. I believe it's a miracle, Isaiah. And all I ask is that if you do this on a continual basis, you will see irrefutable evidence that we are being propagandized through the intelligence agencies, which is Mossad, the CIA, and all the intelligence agencies in the United States, MI6, Saudi they're intelligence operations meant to deceive you. And the reason I should be the number 1 podcast in the country is because this is evident for everybody to see, yet nobody talks about it. And you should always ask yourself if these things are so evident, because you can do this all day long. You can do that all that. You can go and you look at all the experts. You got to see it with COVID, right? You got to see it with COVID. You got to see all of the experts, Rochelle Walensky, Peter Hotez, Dr. Fauci. These are intelligence operations. And then what happens with the intelligence operations after you become aware that these are intelligence operations? What do? They tell you after the fact, after the damage is done, then they hold their fake Warenberg Theater operations where Josh Hawley comes out and goes, Dr. Fauci, 7 years later and 1 million deaths. I didn't say anything about it at the time, but now I want to know what you were thinking. How did Rob Carter, a shoe salesman in DeLand, Florida, diagnose it in real time? But you, Dr. Fauci, and me, Josh Hawley, didn't see it. How's that possible?
Yeah.
Well, it's possible because they're all in the same game. And who is Josh Hawley? Where does Josh Hawley come from? He comes from the banking industry. He comes from Boatman's Bank in Missouri. He comes from Yale, one of our club schools, Isaiah. Let me remind everybody.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
That is correct. You are not in the big. Josh Hawley's in the big club. That's why Josh Hawley wouldn't take an interview with somebody who supported him. Think about that. I support Josh Hawley. I promote Josh Hawley. And then I asked for an interview for Josh Hawley because he called everybody who disagreed with Israeli policy Jew haters. And I said, boy, I'd like to ask him about that. And I'd like to ask him about the Smith Modernization Act. But Josh Hawley won't get near me with a 10-foot pole, but I'll get near him. Right? The closer I get to you, the more you... I can't sing it. Man, I wish I could get to a little higher, though. I want that song. But I'll get to Josh Hawley because we're going to get to Washington, D.C., and we're going to ask him some questions. And if we have to stand outside of his door until he takes a little bathroom break or has to go to his car, we're going to find Josh Hawley and we're going to ask him questions because Josh Hawley, in my humble opinion, is just a fraud like the rest of them. And I'm sick and tired of these people getting all of the adulation from Republican voters because they say things that tickle them where they like to be tickled, but actually don't do a jack diddly ding dong about the big stories of the day, except ignore them and hide. I don't like that. I don't like going out onto the Senate floor and grilling people and go, man, that Josh Hawley, he is really good. Mike Johnson, remember when Mike Johnson was doing? He is really good. What about Jim Jordan when he was doing? He was really good. What about Trey Gowdy? He was so fantastic. And you know what they got done? Zilcho. All they did was create a narrative that puts the conversation to bed because you now know that they tricked you. You now know that Darth Fauci was lying all the time. You now know that. Let's move on to the next scam. Israeli state TV is Fox News. Same thing. Same exact thing. Now, let's get to, remember how we tie things together, Isaiah? We had Kay Griggs talking about the gay agenda.
Connect the dots like coloring in grade school, right?
You see all these things overlap at some point, right? They'll start to overlap like a Venn diagram. You'll start to see how they all overlap. Let's talk about the gay agenda. Speaking of Josh Hawley, let's speak about the gay agenda. Okay. So first, let's start with the influence. It's clip number 9, Isaiah.
Okay.
I just want to tell people this is how I ascertain what is real and what is fake. This is where I get my information from. So you can spend a day in the research lane of Robb Carter. Fair enough. That's all we're doing today is we're going to show you the research and then how we get to decisions. We don't get caught up. Like Candace Owens is creating a podcast 5 days a week. She's got to create information. So every day she has to have some angle to keep you rolling. And that gets, it's a lot. How about we just take a 30,000-foot view and recognize the information that just, if you just accept the very simple information, you'll recognize that the story being told about Charlie Kirk is fake. It's just not true. It's just ridiculous. Okay. You'll start to see that. Let's start with the influencers. Clip number 9, Isaiah. These are guys that came out. I think it's all gentlemen that came out of the trial. So just like you and I, they were invited into the preliminary hearing of Tyler Robinson, and they got to see crystal clear 4K evidence that it was definitely Tyler Robinson who created the shot, lone gunman, did it because he had a furry bro. Undeniable. I mean, everybody can see it. Candace Owens is an imbecile, and we have all of the information because we got to watch it on 4K. This is what they're telling us, okay? So these are the influencers, clip number 9.
Last video that they showed that was zoomed in, you can see it as clear as the noonday sun. And he came into the facility. He climbed onto the roof. He was in a prone position.
Brandon Tatum is
he
a
took
joke.
a shot, ran and jumped off the roof, just like the testimony showed.
You have to hear this because it was devastating what we watched. And the judge ruled that you can't see the high definition quality video 4K
HD, baby,
of Tyler Robinson committing the murder of Charlie Kirk. But we saw it. And they played it on giant screens inside the courthouse.
Yeah,
you can see.
We saw it.
Can you imagine the? First of all, let's check out the hair of Benny Johnson. I don't know what's going on there, but let's just talk about Benny Johnson for just a second. He gets whatever interview he wants with anybody in Washington D.C. on the right. So if he wants an interview, Benny Johnson can get it. Well, who is Benny Johnson? Does anybody know anything about Benny Johnson? How did he just hop onto the scene and he gets all the big interviews? He is the mouthpiece. He gets the, remember when the Epstein files were released and he came out of the White House, he's got the Epstein files. All of these people are simply paid propagandists to pretend as though they're actual news sources when in reality, they are just going to parrot whatever they're told to say because that's how they make a living. And they frame the news in a method that will convince you they're real because they get the big interviews. But if you just pay attention to what they say and how they behave on a timeline, you'll start to recognize they're completely full of BS. It's not 5T chess, it's 5D BS. Don't forget that either. Okay.
You want to know something interesting about Benny Johnson's career? I just pulled up his little bio here.
Give it to me.
From 2012 to 2014, Johnson was a staff writer at BuzzFeed. You remember BuzzFeed was popular. It's still around, but it was more popular maybe 10 years ago. Until he was suspended from BuzzFeed when an online investigation exposed plagiarism in his posts.
Right. So now you're in a compromising situation, right?
Wow.
Because they can just ruin his career if they want. If the right want to come out and destroy Benny Johnson, they got him for plagiarism. He's a fraud. He's always been a fraud. It's clear that he's a fraud, but
that's crazy.
He has an audience because he's on your feed all of the time and he gets these big interviews with people from the right that are also frauds. Okay. Let's go back to the influencers. So you got, we had Brandon Tatum. Who do we have after Brandon? It wasn't Benny right after him, was it? When there's somebody in between? Was it just Benny?
No, it was Benny. Yeah.
Okay, we got someone. Brandon Tatum, Benny Johnson. Keep moving.
Clearly, Tyler Robinson's face. You can see crystal clear the license plate number on his vehicle, his movements on the rooftop. You can time it up to when Charlie Kirk was murdered.
You see
Jack Krzovic, look at this guy. You can see how disingenuous he is.
He assembles the gun.
Jack Krzovic, give me a break.
He runs over to the edge.
Oh man,
he's from the
gets
intelligence
down in a prone
agencies.
position, and you see the time, and we all know what time, and it was like so slow, just watching those seconds, click, 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 and then you see him take the shot.
It's showtime.
And people think we're crazy for saying it's showtime. They do. They think I'm absolutely insane. But nobody will debate me because they recognize they can't win that debate. Because my buddy Jeff says, Rob, he goes, the thing that caught me, and you kept my attention is because you always brought receipts. You didn't just give your opinion. You said, this is why my opinion is what it is. Debate me if you want to. And he goes, and obviously nobody wants to debate you on any of these issues because you're
not an opinion from some talking point.
Well, it's not an opinion because I don't have an ideological bent with it all. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm just trying to figure out the truth. I'm not a Republican. I don't care anything about the Republican Party at all. None, zero. I don't care anything about the Democrat Party. Nothing. I could care less about either one of these parties or any of the people in power necessarily. I mean, I might like them, but if I see that they're doing something against the will of the people, I'm going to call it out. And they know it. That's why some people want to talk to me because they're good people, and some want to run away from me because they think, I don't want Rob digging into my business. Okay. So those are the influencers. Now let's just go to, because Benny Johnson's the one I want to stay on. Now, remember, does everybody understand that Benny Johnson is a gay man? Are we aware of that yet?
I am. I don't know if everyone is.
Remember what Kay Griggs said? It's the gay man you got to pay attention to. Okay, so just remember that. Let's go to Milo. What is it? Yiannopoulos?
Yeah, Yiannopoulos, something like that.
He was
super Greek.
hardcore person on the right, a gay man who says he came to Jesus and now he's not going to live the gay lifestyle. I don't know how you do that, Isaiah. I really don't. I mean, you couldn't, if being a heterosexual was against the Bible, and I had to be a homosexual to fit within the Bible, I'd have a real tough time not being attracted to women. I'm just gonna be honest with you. My wife, it's innate. Like as soon as I saw her, I went, You know what I'm saying? It's
I actually had a professor in college who was didn't get married, but he's an ex-gay guy. And it's part of his testimony. He's been on, TV talking about it and everything, but because he was like a drug lord and everything like that. But I wonder the same thing. And his thing is that I don't think he thinks everyone can't, but he didn't think that he could get married because he doesn't deny that he struggles.
I saw a guy at Grace Church say the same thing.
Yeah. And so he doesn't deny that he struggles with it versus other people will say, oh, I've converted and now I don't have these temptations. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not
We're
gay.
all human though, Rob. It's like,
Right. The only thing I can compare it to is my sexuality is heterosexual.
Yes.
I was attracted to girls when I was 3 years old, and I've been attracted to them ever since. And I assume I'll be attracted to them.
They started calling you cute, right?
Until the day I die. It's just, it's innate for me. So if it is innate, I don't know the answer to this. And unless you're gay, you don't know the answer either. But if it's innate in your being to be a homosexual, for somebody to change that and make you a heterosexual, I can only go my experience as a heterosexual. I think that would be very difficult to turn Rob into a homosexual. I think that'd be real hard to do. I venture to say it's impossible. But I don't know. I don't know how the world works necessarily. All right, let's go to Milo talking about Benny Johnson. Now, there's going to be some very crass language, some very over-the-top language. If you have children in the room, if you're somebody that's driving in the car and you don't want to hear explicit language, this is not for you. Pause it. Come back and watch it later when you're on your own. If you don't want to hear it yourselves, I get it. I do. But the reason I like podcasting is because there is a big world out there and it's not clean and sanitized all the time. And we still have to play that information. So here is Milo Yiannopoulos on the Tim Pool Show with George Santos. George Santos and Milo Yiannopoulos, both gay men. Listen to what they say about Benny Johnson. Check this out.
This is the gayest conversation I've ever listened to in my
all
life.
Times. If you only hear it, it's almost too gay for me.
Yeah, seriously.
Distinctive things about the right wing in this country is its homosexual overtones. Benny Johnson posts pictures of his children every 2
Pause, Isaiah. I want people to hear it again because now this is beginning. One of our listeners was very complimentary of me, and she sent me something. She goes, "I'm glad you're." But actually, there were two. I'm glad you're covering the gay story because that's a big story that nobody wants to talk about. Because as soon as you do, people are going to say you're anti-gay, you're homophobic, this and that and the other. It's the same thing with the Jewish conversation. There are conversations that need to be had that are uncomfortable. And because you're having the conversation doesn't mean that you hate gays. It doesn't mean you hate Jews. It doesn't mean you hate anybody. It's just the whole
Isn't that the purpose of the First Amendment, to
Correct.
talk about those things so that we can have the debate and the conversation?
Go ask her.
Milo, aren't you ever
And the-
scared of getting sued? You say
Yeah,
some
let me-
crazy.
let me-
I'm sitting here like
Yeah.
I am humbled by the lore
let me tell you-
and your ability
The
to
audacity,
just,
just,
I mean, like there's
you
no
know,
teapots in this room right now to express how I feel.
George, I have said these things about people for 20 years and never once in my career been sued. I've issued 3 corrections in my entire journalistic career because I get my facts right, and people know that they do not want to go through discovery.
Actually, I want to say this.
I've never been sued for anything I've ever said about anyone.
The one thing I can,
humbled
I need
by
to say this. I need to say
because
this.
I'm right.
The most terrifying thing about Milo is that he knows all your secrets.
Oh no, he knows everybody's
He knows-
lore.
he
Trust
knows
me.
all of
I
it.
am terrified of Milo. I will never cross Milo. Milo is the one person that people say like, "Why are you friends with him?" Bitch knows too much.
I can't afford not to be.
You want to be his
He
enemy?
knows too much.
Nobody wants to be his enemy.
Let me
It's
just-
not
No,
safe.
do not cross this dude. It's not worth it.
I was gonna say, Benny told you what? Did he get the dick out of his mouth long enough?
Oh my God, Milo, you can't say these.
Yes, I
things.
can because it's real and it's true.
Milo, stop.
You can't say
George,
it because
George, it
you want to
sounds like
maintain
you-
your friendships. I can say it because
It
I
sounds
care
like
like
you've
him
never
about
met
what's real.
Milo. This,
You know,
this,
you
you
know,
can't
I
say this.
know.
Of
No,
course.
I'm
And the
trying to
private-
help him.
You're not helping.
wait,
I think
hold
you'll
on.
be fine.
Guys.
You can't even help you.
Crank-
You just came out of jail. I don't
Okay,
need.
wait.
I don't need tips from you about life.
Let's turn the
dude.
volume from 11 to at least 10.
Yes,
But
sorry.
I want to say this.
I will just say,
When we were talking about how there's people that come to me and they say, Tim, we'll be the guardrails for you and you'll be the biggest.
faggotized.
What they're really saying is, Tim, when you
So
catch someone,
what I'm trying to get is all of the data points over time that nobody ties together. Kay Griggs gives an 8-hour interview. Her husband was in the intelligence agencies who went to Princeton, which I diagnosed before I ever even heard of Kay Griggs. I said, there's something going on here. If you check out the information about the schools and the people involved, you're going to start to see these people being tied together. Then I learned about Kay Griggs. I didn't even know that she had an interview, that 8-hour interview from 1996. Kay Griggs said that her husband kept a diary, that he was high up in the intelligence agencies, and he told her, and she witnessed, the grooming of gay men into positions of influence and power in the political system because they were easier to control. And she went on and on and on and on and explaining that for 8 hours with a diary from her husband and instances that she was aware of. And she named names. Okay. So Barack Obama, Pete Buttigieg, JD Vance. I could go on and on with the people that Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, there's a ton of them. Mike Johnson. You know, all these people came out with Hunter Biden just recently, but if you tie these things together, you're going to see that there might be something going on behind the scenes that we should at least pay attention to and recognize it when it happens. Let's go to what Candace Owens just recently said. So Candace Owens, clip number 13, she's talking about the femininity of the big podcasters. I assume she's talking about Benny Johnson and these type of people. This is clip number 13.
The feminine men, right?
Feminine men. Yep.
I am amazed and amused by the oh so prolific naysayers to you online with maybe one of your reach and believers. They're crazy, but they seem so tough enough to open a jar of pickles, if you know what I mean. I'm here with you and God bless. Yeah, they're just insane. And there's something also just extraordinarily like gay, like 90s gay about like men that do that full time online. It's just like, I'm like, stop. Like, stop being a woman. Like, let us do that. You see these guys like, Candace said this. Candace. Debate me, Candace. Candace, look at me, Candace. I'm like, ew. Like the sissy culture of men online. When men podcast, they can't podcast like women. Do you get what I mean? If you're gonna be a man and you're gonna podcast, like, and they kind of carved out the podcast space, but who was it? It was the military bros. It was like Joe Rogan having on like UFC fighters. They were talking about their diet and their exercise, and you're like, oh, that's a man podcast. Now we have these like sissies. We're like, did you hear what Candace said yesterday? Oh, did you hear what Candace? And please don't do that. It's so gross. It's so gross. I hate looking at these men. It bothers me deeply. They're all Emmanuel Macron. Don't act like Emmanuel Macron. Act like Brigitte.
I love the last line. Be a man. Like,
Don't act like Emmanuel Macron.
That was funny based on, her background. Okay, so this is right. So pay attention to this. Now let's go back to the influence, right? So you have Milo saying that Benny Johnson is a gay man and he's assured of it, right? Because he's in the gay community, Milo was, so he knows who the gay guys are, according to him. Then you see the influence operation surrounding Charlie Kirk, where you have Brandon Tatum come out, Benny Johnson, and Jack Prosobic, and Benny Johnson goes crystal clear, 4K. Everybody knows. Now we know exactly what happened. Now let's go back to what Benny Johnson said immediately after the Charlie Kirk assassination. This was what Benny Johnson had to say before he got his script. Clip number 15, Isaiah.
Yes, there is reason for people to believe that this is a professional hit job. John Solomon is an excellent reporter, and Steven Crowder has some leaked information. I want to talk about both. I want to begin by saying that I'm very, very close with Charlie and his team, and here is the thing that here's what I wish to relay to you from them. That there is some considerable evidence that there were state actors involved here. That's it. I don't want to go any further than that. I can't go any further than that. That is what I've been told.
Okay. How about the drama queen there?
I know.
Everyone, the pause for the dramatic effect, the whole thing.
Told you it's a script.
Right. So state actors, I'm convinced there's state actors involved. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more about that. But then he becomes the front person for the preliminary hearing trial and telling the world that, what's his name? Tyler Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
That Tyler Robinson, we saw it crystal clear, 4K. But then we got to see the video come out. If you remember what they're saying in the influencers one where you got Benny Johnson, all of them, is that they haven't released it to the public. And I would ask everybody, if you have 4K footage of this guy running across the rooftops or going onto the roof or anything else, you tell me why that wouldn't be put out into the public. For what reason? Isaiah, can you come up with a reason? One of the biggest controversies, one of the most powerful influencers in the world was assassinated. Everybody got to see it. Horrific. And we want to get to the bottom of who did it. And there's a national conversation going on. And the courts say we have 4D footage where you can't possibly miss it. Big screens all over the room, but we can't let the public see it. Isaiah, can you explain this to me?
No. I believe in transparency. That's one of the reasons I got into local government.
Why would Benny Johnson get to see it? Who the hell is Benny Johnson?
Yeah. That's
Brandon
Tatum.
Who's Jack Prosobic? Who are these people?
I think that they didn't really see 4K footage. That's the thing.
Correct. They're influencers within the intelligence operation, and or they're just morons. Those are the two options. I lean toward the first one, which is their intelligence operations. First time seeing Benny Johnson, seems his last name fits. Exactly. Can we just watch that one more time? Now you tell me what you think of Benny Johnson, and just remember all of the themes, because if you're listening for the first time, you're like, well, what's he talking about?
We got some first time listeners.
Yeah, there are themes that overlap over time, and if you pay attention to what we're talking about, you can't miss the themes. People that watch the show every day know the themes because we've been talking about them now for 5 years. They're impossible to miss. Just show me Benny Johnson one more time, and you tell me if your gaydar goes off, just very quickly, because he's
there is reason for people to believe that this is a professional hit job. John Solomon,
how about that look right there?
Is an excellent reporter.
That was the gayest move I've ever seen.
And Steven Crowder has some leaked information. I want to talk about both. I want to begin by saying that I'm very, very close with Charlie and his team. And here is the thing that here's what I wish to relay to you from them. That there is some considerable evidence that there were state actors involved here. That's it. I don't want to go any further than that. I can't go any further than that. That is what I've been told.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. To me, I see right through these people. I saw right through them from the very beginning.
I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
Okay. All right. So
I've never done a move like that in my life, Rob.
Right. The reason I started there. Okay. So I wanted to start from the premise that who do you think killed Charlie Kirk? Do you think it was a transgender? Do you think the transgender motive was the reason behind Charlie Kirk being killed? Is this what people believe? Or do you believe when Charlie Kirk says he's basically going toe to toe with the Jews, the Jews that are trying to tell him what to say, when he says that the big Jewish liberal donors are the problem that we have in this country? Do you think that might have been a motive to kill Charlie Kirk? And if you watched all of the assassinations, how many times do we talk about the assassination attempts throughout time? Let's just really quickly for first-time listeners, and I know people get bored with it, but you got to put these things together. You have the assassination of John F. Kennedy, which they lied about. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy, which they lied about. The assassination of Marilyn Monroe, which is still in question to this day. The assassination of Malcolm X. Now, these are people that had influence. You understand what I'm saying? These were the real influential people of the day. Right after the assassination of John F. Kennedy and the destruction of the USS Liberty, who was involved? Do you think that was China? Was that China?
Was that Russia, North Korea?
Did China, North Korea, or Iran attack the USS Liberty? No, that was Israel, folks. That was Israel. Was John F. Kennedy worried about China when he said he didn't want them to get nuclear weapons right before he got his head blown off in public? No, he was talking about Israel. Was it a Chinese person who had the video, or was it somebody linked to Israel? The Zapruder film. That wasn't China. That was Israel. When Fox News gives you information and 20-something years later, you're still at war, and every time there's a war going on, it is cheerleaded, especially Middle Eastern wars, it is cheerleaded by Fox News.
AKA Israeli state TV.
I just wonder how people can't put it together. I'm honest. I don't know how people can't. That's why I say the brainwashing of Bernays, and you understand how the brainwashing works. If we control the narrative, we sell you something day in and day out and repeat it every day, you'll believe it. You'll believe it. If the media and their experts start coming out tomorrow and tell you the earth is square, and then they put it into your school books that the earth is square, and then they show you these videos from outer space where the earth is square, and they tell you that the earth is square every day for 50 years, and then generations start to talk about how the earth is square, it becomes the earth is square. That's
Especially
what they're doing.
if the school books have it all written perfectly for you.
Who wrote the school books?
To justify.
Did the Chinese write the school books in America? Or did Robert Maxwell, father?
Did an American even write a school book for the American
Correct.
public schools? No.
A Mossad agent, Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, produced more than half of our school books for the last 40 years. That's not China. Is it China? I don't think it's China.
No, I think we still get, let me see here. Made in North Korea. Whoa, no, I'm joking. Made in China.
All right, I wanted to do this portion of the show, and then we'll get to some advertisers. But I want to get to this portion of the show because I need the audience's help. If you're somebody who's following Candace Owens or following these stories, I want to know where you're coming from with this, Isaiah. Let's look at this together because I don't know all of the names. I know Andrew Colvett because he was dealing with Tracy Ellis. If you remember, the Charlie Kirk show came on right after my show when I was on radio. So it was the Rob Carter show. We went right into the Charlie Kirk show. I actually took an hour of Charlie Kirk show away at one time because he had a longer show, and then we cut into it by an hour because my show was extended. So I was listening to Charlie Kirk leaving the studio in St. Louis 5 days a week. So I have some understanding of what Charlie Kirk was talking about at the end of his life because I was forced to listen to it. It was my radio station, and I was leaving. And at one time I thought that Charlie Kirk was such a Zionist I couldn't even listen to it. And then I saw the changes when I was listening to his radio show right after mine, and it became obvious what he was concerned about. At least to me, it came very obvious. I think Candace Owens recognizes it. I think people that were paying attention to what he was saying throughout time started to see that he was changing his opinion on Bibi Netanyahu, not the people of Israel, but Bibi Netanyahu and the people that were running the show in Israel. That's what he was concerned about, and the big donors that were in America that liked that alliance for whatever reason. Okay, So let's start
I
with
wonder
this.
why when Miriam and Sheldon Adelson pouring hundreds of millions. I wonder what the motivation could be, Rob.
Well, there's a lot to this motivation that's starting to come out, and it will all go down. Nobody will pay attention to it ultimately, but at least we can know a little bit about what's going on. It will not be accepted by the world. It'll never happen because the people that we're talking about, they own the media, and they own all of the media. They even own the platforms that we're on right now. They just own everything.
Did you play that video yesterday, or was it on Wednesday? The Mossad video at the end of the show.
It was a couple days ago.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, that just.
Remind me.
I'll find it, and I'll
Remind me. We'll get to that. But let me stay in this order because I want to give this presentation in an order that people will understand. This kind of goes back to my podcast days when I'm trying to convince people to pay attention from this
narrative.
Yeah, and see if they can see it from this angle. If they can't, great. But I think you can see it from this angle if you pay attention. Yeah. Let's go to clip number 11. This is Charlie Kirk talking about his relationship. Many people have seen it if you follow the story, but I'm going to bring some detail to it. This is Charlie Kirk talking about Candace Owens, because if you listen to the people that hate Candace Owens, they say there was a big strife between the two. He really didn't like her, this and that and the other. This is what the other side is saying, which is demonstrably untrue. I mean, she's released a ton of texts where you can kind of see the relationship they have. Charlie Kirk would not share the information with Candace Owens unless he had her full trust. Fact. That's a fact.
I think that from the public influencers, I from what I see in public perception, this is just me as an outsider looking at the public perception, it seemed to me that Candace Owens might have been one of Charlie Kirk's closest confidants and best friends.
There's a lot of people that think might be his only friend.
What'd you say?
Might have been his only friend at the end of the day. And it reminds me of this before we get to the video. When I got into presidential jobs, when I was the president of the company, it was called Phoenix Footwear out in San Diego. When you get into high-level positions, Isaiah, you were in a high-level position. When you get to a position where you got 50 or 100 people that are reporting to you, you all of a sudden get a little bit smarter.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little bit better looking.
Oh, I'm going to meetings and people want me to fix all these problems, and I'm fixing all these things, and I'm doing great.
And you start to believe that these people really like you, that they're your friends, and they love you so much because you're their boss. You determine whether they have a job or not. You're the one that's making sure that they can feed their families. You're the boss. Mm-hmm. And when you're the boss, it's just natural for people to kiss your ass.
Yes.
And when people start to kiss your ass and tell you how great you are and what a great job you're doing, you begin to think that they're friendly with you. And this is what I think happened to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had people around him that he thought were just absolutely loved him, that they were his ride or dies.
They're executing his vision, right? Absolutely. They're executing his vision. What do you want us to do? We'll go over here and do this for you, right?
That's right. And it doesn't mean that it's true, because I'll tell you firsthand that when you are removed from those positions, as I have been in the past, you find out that those people don't give a shit at all. Some of them do. It's not that all of them, but there's a lot of people that were kissing your telling you how great you were, and then when you're not the boss anymore, you never hear another word from them. And I really feel like this
every time it happens that way.
Yeah, this is what I'm feeling is going down with Charlie Kirk. Okay.
There was one organization I worked for, and people left with me, and that was like the biggest compliment I've ever had in my life.
Oh yeah, when they come with you.
Yeah.
And I usually did that with the ones that were good. I would bring them along. All right. Clip number 11 is Charlie Kirk answering the question about his relationship with Candace Owens. And then we got to look at the person that asked the question. I don't know this person, but I want to get to the bottom of it. So this is clip number 11, Isaiah.
I do want to say, truth be told, for sure is asking about something that we're going to get to. So we'll get to that. I promise. It's on the list here, and it's a part of what we're talking about today, talking about the hospital. So we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get there.
Relationship with Candace Owens nowadays?
She's a great friend. Look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, you must stop being friends with somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic. Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that. In fact, if you believe what I believe, shouldn't you want me to be friends with people that don't agree with us? Shouldn't you want me to also be a tool of influence? And so I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times. And she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our...
That I haven't watched as much. Born in Louisiana. Where was he just at?
Who is he?
Oh yeah, Colorado. I knew it was one of those Western states. So he was run for
that everybody's our enemy who disagrees with us. That's not where we're coming from. We can have meaningful debates and still like each other. And I think once you start to recognize that, the other situations that you go through will make you sick. You're polarized right now as a society to hate one another. And it's become a part of our world. But it's a better world when you say, you know what, I just disagree with you. I just disagree. I think you're wrong, but I love you. You know,
Yeah.
we can still be friends. We just disagree. Okay. And I think you'll start to like it better. That's what I say. The people that have stuck around for a while, we have an incredibly loyal audience, by the way. We have about, I don't want to give to the numbers, but we have a very loyal audience. People that stay with us long enough start to recognize what we're doing. They start to recognize that we're real, that we're not here for some nefarious reason, that we're not doing anything other than trying to get information out that you can make determinations on. I've made my determinations on many different things, but there's a lot of things I'm still exploring. I think that Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of big Jewish donors. That's what I believe. And whether Tyler Robinson was a part of that, or he was a patsy in that operation, or he had nothing to do with it and he's just being framed, that I can't tell you. And I don't know that I'll ever know. But what I believe with, I say it all the time, Isaiah, if somebody puts a gun to your head and says, you got to get this right, was Charlie Kirk killed because of his stance on transgenders, or was he killed for his evolving stance on the relationship between Israel and the United States, war in Iran and the like? I wouldn't hesitate for 1 second. I'd say the latter. To me, that's obvious.
Yep.
Okay, that's where I take it. So that's where I'm coming from, just so you understand. You don't have to, if you disagree with me and you go, Rob, you've been listening to I don't even listen to Candace Owens. I think I've probably listened to 6 or 7 Candace Owens shows since she started covering this stuff. I see some of the clips every now and again. We'll have Andy Polachek on the show next week. He said he's watched every single Candace Owens show. He's 100% positive that and he's a very bright guy, 100% positive that the narrative being sold to us is not true. And he's going to come on next week and walk us through what he has learned. But I want to give it to you from my angle, because I think I'm the normal person. I pay attention to it a little bit here and there. I recognize that something's not right. I recognize the original story is nonsense. But at the same time, I don't know what all of the right answers are. I just know what the wrong answers are. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. Now, Victor Marks does it say what kind of pastor he is? Tell me a little bit about him, because he's the one that asked the questions. And I thought that was odd that he would stand up and ask the question, and then he had some alignment with TPUSA. It almost felt like it was putting Charlie on the spot about Candace Owens, who the people we're talking about hate.
Yep.
Remember, he got fired by she got fired, Candace Owens. He's got to remember all the little data points. She got fired from Ben Shapiro's operation for saying Christ is king. So do you think we're in a spiritual war, Isaiah?
Oh yeah.
I think we're in
every day. That's all it is.
I think that's the overarching thing that people don't recognize. We're in a spiritual war. So when somebody like Candace Owens comes on to Ben Shapiro's outlet and says Christ is king, well, that's a no-go. That's no good, because you're in a spiritual war. When you look at Ben Shapiro, when you look at Mark Levin, I don't see Jew. I just flat out see evil. And I see that in many Zionist people as well. I think Mike Huckabee is so full of it, it makes me want to puke every time I see his face. And I could go on. And Sean Hannity, same thing. Benny Johnson, same thing. These are just propagandists, and I don't like it in this era. I think we're in a dangerous situation in our world, and we need people to stand up and tell the truth. And all we get is fake news narratives that confuse us, so we never get to the bottom of anything in this country. What happened to the spy balloons? What happened to the Chinese spy balloons?
Chinese spies.
They weren't Israeli spy balloons. They were obviously Chinese spy balloons, because look up in the sky and look at that balloon. Clearly, that's a Chinese sky balloon.
You guys remember the Epstein files? You forget about that,
right? I think it was it Jeffrey Chang, or was it Jeffrey? Okay. Yeah. You know where I'm coming from, Isaiah? China, Iran, North Korea, it's the misdirection of our day. I'm not saying they love us. I'm not saying we share the same culture. I'm just simply saying that if you pay attention to the news, they have to create a villain. The villain is whoever the government tells you is the villain. You know that the government lies to you every single day. So maybe, just maybe, they're creating boogeymen for us to fight while we align our militaries and our military technology with the nation state of Israel that bombed the USS Liberty Vets intentionally in June of 1960. Was it 8 or 7? 1967. And we just went and met with these people. We went and talked to Thomas Massey. It's just, they know what happened. They are firsthand witnesses to what happened. They're 80-year-old men didn't all of a sudden wake up one day and go, you know what? Let's make up a story that happened to us back in 1967. Let's just make it all up right now. All of us. Let's get together and start making up a story. I mean, come on. That didn't happen. These men know what they saw. They're positive beyond any shadow of a doubt that Israel attacked them on purpose. They were told by our own country to shut their pie holes. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Let me give you this.
That's a fact, Jack.
That's the fact, Jack. That's a fact, Jack.
Okay. So you and I know it. See, that's the difference between people in the audience. You may feel it. Isaiah and I got to look into the eyes of these people and spend an entire day with them. We know that Israel attacked the USS Liberty vets intentionally. It was no accident. We know that because we met
the guy who put the American flags on the ship. Both
they kept
flags,
saying, well, you can't even see the American flag. So we talked to the guy that actually put up not one, but 2 American flags.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Looked into the eyes of the pilots as they're circling them. They know what happened. They saw the Star of David as the submarines were coming at them.
Mm-hmm. It's all connected, people.
It's all connected. If we don't figure this out, then I think we're in big trouble as a society. I just think we're in trouble. I think we're right now, I'm not blackpilling. I don't want to hear that anymore. This is not about blackpilling. This is about awareness so we can fix our own problems. America always gets it wrong until they finally get it right. We're going to have to
the first step of Alcoholics Anonymous, right?
Got to admit you have a problem. Okay. So now let's go to rooftop footage. Actually, let me get I'm running late. So let's do 3 advertisements very quickly. And again, if you're listening in the state of Missouri or around the country, we don't charge for our show. All we ask is that you please take care of our advertisers. They are the ones that when I went out of radio, I left radio, starting a podcast, we had to build a set. We had to have travel money. We had to get a lot of things done, and our advertisers stepped up. And they stepped up and they said, Rob, we're going to support you. And it meant the world to me. It allows us to do this because without their help, there's no chance that you're going to get much real news. Certainly not in the state of Missouri. All right. So let's start with People's Lobby Missouri. Again, whether you're in Missouri or around the country, People's Lobby Missouri is our nonprofit. And what we do and we were looking for $5 from 10,000 people. That's ultimately what we want because we want to market the story. We want to tell people the story in Missouri and around the country of the malfeasance that is going on within your media and government and how those two things are tied together. We are a pressure campaign that uses the media. That's what People's Lobby Missouri is. I suggest that everybody within the sound of my voice, if you care about your future, join up because we actually have the courage to get things done and everybody involved with us has the courage to get things done. peopleslobbymo.com. Check it out. Now we move over to gracehauling.com. Gracehauling.com. This is my good friend Gary Schneider. If you're in Missouri, he's very active in the political arena, and he's got just a crazy, crazy successful business called gracehauling.com. So if you're in St. Charles County and you see those Grace Hauling trucks all over the place, there's a reason for that. It is because people love doing business with Gary Schneider. As I say to my commercial friends out there, they have 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters. They've been around since 1998. They pride themselves on customer service. You know how many businesses pride themselves on customer service anymore? Most of them don't even want to deal with you. They got computers answering their questions. They pride themselves on customer service because they want to do a good job. They want you to be satisfied. Competitive pricing. And again, if you're a residential customer, trash pickup, recyclables, yard waste, and bulk pickups. Gracehauling.com, gracehauling.com, gracehauling.com. And I said, Gary, what do you want me to say about your business? He said, Rob, but for the grace of God, I would not have such a thriving business. Gracehauling.com. And then we got Jones Water. Final day. He's giving you a $250 discount. So if you're in, I'll give you the counties here in just a minute, but you got to have fresh air and you got to have clean water in your house, period. I can't get that across enough for people. You've got to have clean air and clean water. It's the number one thing you should do when you buy a new home is make sure you take care of the cleanliness of your home. You can clean your air and you can clean your water. It's not very expensive. Every home in America should have it. Should be mandated. When I'm king, everybody will have this. This will be a part of building a house. I'll have clean air and clean water, and I should be king. Isaiah knows that I should be. I'd be the only benevolent king that we've ever had. I think it should be King Rob. Maybe we'll call the show King Rob moving forward. JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. If you spend any time with Everett Jones, you'll know that he knows more about water quality in the state of Missouri and air quality than anybody you've ever talked to in your life. He's like the water boy in the movie with Adam Sandler. He knows everything about water. As he likes to say, you'll be the filter or you'll buy the filter. JonesWater.com. If you want to do business with Everett on the Missouri side of the water, you got St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. If you go to the east side, the dark side, the Illinois side, you got Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair. Again, a $250 discount. Today's the last day. So if you want to call him and get this done, today's the last day. He's given a $250 discount on one of his April Air products, water filtration systems that he has for your home or business. Take advantage of it. He's doing this for the 250th anniversary of this great country. JonesWater.com, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. And then when it's the weekend, we always remember it's Valvoline Express Care. This is our good friend, Tony Clark. Been with me for a long time. I should start talking about his wife's business too, because when my mom had cancer, I don't know if I've ever told you this story on air, but when my mom had cancer, the one thing that she was so freaked out about that I just couldn't believe how much it horrified her was losing her hair. Tony Clark's wife has a wig business, and I didn't realize how important it was to women, their hair. I did. My mom didn't even care that she was dying of lung cancer. She did not want to be seen with no hair. I mean, she was 50 years old and beautiful, and it was making her crazy. So I understand this business, and I understand the Valvoline business. I understand great people when I meet them, and these are great people. Valvoline Express Care. If you want some coupons, Valvoline-Express Care, Valvoline-Express Care. You can go there. You can get coupons, as he likes to say. It's 15 minutes from Beta on your way. Quick, efficient oil changes. No stress, no pressure. All Valvoline branded products. And if you want to do business with our good friend Tony Clark, he has locations in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Highland, Illinois, Troy, Illinois, Lemay Ferry Road, Warrenton, Missouri, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and St. Peter's Parkway. Again, if you want to find the locations and you want to help out a friend, it's Valvoline-Express Care. All right, Isaiah. Let's move this down the road just a little bit. So I want to get to this. We'll get to the rooftop, and then we'll get to the hospital here before too terribly long, because I know people that are really follow this story like, Rob, get to the meat, but you got to set it up.
That's what everyone in the chat's doing right now. They're so mad at you for not talking about it yet.
Yeah, they want me to get to the meat, but I want you to understand the reason you can't get your friends and family to jump on board is the reason we set it up for the first hour. You have to understand that people are being intentionally divided by these outlets. And just because you know what I know, that something is bigger at play, we've got to get more people to our side. You got to get more people to think properly. And you can't do that by calling them idiots and dummies and this and that. And they just won't listen. That turns them off immediately. Got to drag them in and say, okay, let's have this conversation. Let's have it calmly. And they'll recognize at some point they don't have a debate. They don't have a
Bible tells us you get more with honey than vinegar.
Absolutely. I had to drink my honey this morning because my throat was getting a little rough.
Oh, yeah.
4 hours, almost every day. We're doing 4 hours now. It's insane. Okay. Let me get to the rooftop. Let's go to number
there's a gay joke there that I could have said.
Gay jokes. Clip number 12, Isaiah. This is rooftop footage, and tell me what you see here.
Let's see here.
I noticed from Candace's footage.
Are people going to be able to hear this?
I know it's. I don't think they can hear it.
And what I need
All right, just pause it and I'll walk through this with people. So what this guy is describing is the footage that was released. And he had to say, and the reason I wanted to play this for everybody, and I'm just going to describe it because it is difficult to hear. I had a feeling it was going to be a problem. The reason this jives with me is what he's talking about is exactly what I said when I saw the video. If Charlie Kirk was sitting low, so when you're on a building, you have to be at the edge of the building to shoot down. Am I correct? Is that how it works? I'm just looking at how the whole system would work. There has to be a line of sight to the target. If you watch the video, this person is, and you can see the videos from behind Charlie Kirk. Those videos have been widely distributed. People know what it looks like. You would have had to been on the edge of the building in order to take a shot at Charlie Kirk because you're shooting down. If you were shooting level or if you were shooting up, then you could be where this person is positioned. The person that they're showing on the video that is the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk could not have shot Charlie Kirk.
Rob, it's Tyler.
You don't need to be. Yeah, you don't
have footage. Can't you tell?
But just look how far away from the ledge he is.
Oh, wow. I see what you're saying right there.
Where he takes the shot from, it is impossible to shoot down from the top of the buildings. That's not possible. And that is the footage that was released.
Yeah, look how far back he is.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's an impossibility that person is the actual shooter. Now, remember this as well, that the preliminary hearing, they said they found a bullet on an adjacent roof, and they never got to the bottom of why a bullet was there. Now, if you go onto any roof in your area, do you expect to find a bullet there, Isaiah?
I would hope not.
If you were the FBI, in the FBI and you found a bullet on an adjacent roof, as you're investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, would you want to explore that information, find out where that bullet may have came from, get to the bottom of it? Because in the preliminary hearing, they said they didn't get to the bottom of it. And now you look at that video, and I just ask any sane person, if you can, I don't know how well people can see it. Can you freeze it and blow it up maybe so people can kind of, I don't know if they can see it well enough, but the shooter is 10 feet from the ledge. And if you go back to the video from behind Charlie Kirk, where he's looking out over the people, over the audience, you see that the buildings are 3 and 4 stories above him. So you could not possibly have a line of sight to Charlie Kirk from that angle, and he never gets closer to the edge before he leaves. Right? So how do people that say that we're all crazy and that Candace Owens is a lunatic, when this is the video footage that was released? Again, it won't change anything because the official narrative will be the official narrative. If you go to your school books right now, they're going to say Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Who wrote books that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone? Bill O'Reilly from Fox News, prime time, from Harvard. He's the one who wrote a book called Killing Kennedy, where he says it's obvious that it was Lee Harvey Oswald that acted alone. Who else wrote a book about Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone? Vincent Bugliosi. Vincent Bugliosi was the prosecutor in the Charles Manson story, who we later found out just made that whole story of Helter Skelter out of thin air because Tom O'Neill did a 20-year investigation of the Manson story and said Vincent Bugliosi just made it all up. So those two people, Vincent Bugliosi and Bill O'Reilly, wrote books saying that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. And I don't think anybody believes that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone anymore, do they?
No.
I hope not. I mean, good Lord. Right? So you start to see how the media complex shapes your opinion, because didn't people watching Fox News trust Bill O'Reilly at some point, Isaiah? I mean, he had the biggest audience in cable news. And they're like, Bill O'Reilly from Harvard, he's a genius. Look how great he is. Bill O'Reilly's full of shit.
Come on, I got my booster.
Yeah. Did you get your booster, Mr. President? Yes, me too. I got mine
Me
too.
We're good.
Of course he did. All right. So the rooftop footage to me is probably the best evidence of all the evidence that whoever they're showing as the shooter could not possibly, in my opinion, I don't know how, maybe a bullet goes up and then down and he has some way to track the bullet in a different
What
direction.
about the magic bullet, Rob?
It becomes the magic bullet theory. Because if you're 10 feet from the ledge and you have to shoot downward, it can't go down. Does everybody understand just basic physics?
Yeah.
Then what are we talking about? Why
Maybe it was the gravity that pulled it down.
Why is there still a conversation about this, Isaiah? That's what I want to ask people. Why is there a conversation about whether this story is true or not when the video that is released shows a shooter 10 feet from a ledge who has to shoot down? Okay, now let's go to the real footage. Real footage that you can see. This was from the event itself with Charlie Kirk. This is real footage. Now, tell me if this doesn't make sense. And then also remember that the what seems to be the exit wound comes out of the side of Charlie Kirk's neck, whereas they say the shooter was in front of him. So I guess it goes back to the steel bones again, right? Where the bullets, so the bullet has to go up and then make a 45-degree angle straight down into Charlie Kirk's neck, which probably lessened the velocity because it's this magic bullet that could go straight for a little bit and then descend and go right into the steel
That's
bones.
why it's lodged in there and didn't go through.
Right. The steel bones of Charlie Kirk hit his neck and they come out sideways. This is what we have to believe. And or it was the microphone, which is what I believe happened. And I think at that point, what you need more than anything is a patsy. You need somebody to take. So if I was constructing a con, this might be how I would do it. I would say, okay, we're going to put one of our military members up on the roof. He's going to take a shot. You're going to hear it. The actual kill weapon will be on Charlie Kirk's chest. And then we'll just have a convoluted story where nobody knows what happened and it'll all go away at some point. That's it. Because the FBI, remember what Whitney, tie these things together. What does Whitney Webb say happened in her book, One Nation Under Blackmail? So the whole book shows the relationship between our intelligence agencies and the FBI with organized crime. That's the whole book. The book shows you the combination and the integration of mafias in this country aligning with our intelligence agencies under J. Edgar Hoover. And you'd say, well, Rob, why would they ever combine with the mafias? I thought they were going after the mafias. No. The reason is because J. Edgar Hoover was a gay man. Remember, we go back to the gay agenda and the compromising people. J. Edgar Hoover,
autocracy, as Hunter Biden calls it.
He was, let's see how these things tie together, because again, it's ABC. Where's my ABC? Because again, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Kirk.
It's ABC,
Right.
easy as 1, 2, 3, because when you understand what she's trying to get at, you start to see how the whole system works. She says that, and she has all the documentation. J. Edgar Hoover was having gay liaisons in Manhattan. Somebody involved in those gay liaisons was Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was an attorney for the mafia. This is how they combined together. And who is the mentor of Donald Trump?
Roy Cohn.
Jewish attorney for the mafia, Roy Cohn. Okay. So you start now. I'm not saying that Trump he might have been a plant. I'm not to influence your perceptions of Donald Trump. I'm just saying these people, this whole system is tied together. Okay. So that is rooftop footage that for me clearly says, unless they're releasing the wrong footage, that there's no way that the person that they're showing on the video could have shot Charlie Kirk. I don't know how we're missing it. I don't know how it could be any more clear than that. Right, Isaiah? I mean, you can't be any more clear that if somebody is sitting 10 feet away from the ledge and has to shoot the bullet downwards, physics tell you that's not possible. And if you say, well, Rob, it's the wrong. No, we can see the angle from behind Charlie Kirk. There's a million views. You got to see that the buildings were 2 and 3 and 4 stories high. So it's impossible. What do we got here? Anybody disagreeing with me?
No,
just the Village People with his song. Exactly.
Yeah, the Village People. That's what we talked about the other day. We can't believe that's his anthem.
That was one of my shows, Isaiah, was the words to the Village People song YMCA is about gay men picking up children at the YMCA. That's what it's about. Okay. Anyway.
Crazy.
Let's go to real rooftop footage and then you tell me. So this is clip number 17. I'd like somebody to explain this one.
You think he'd already be in place? You would think that.
Look how far back he is.
So there's somebody on the roof right there?
He's right on the edge, right?
He just ran from over, where's my finger? Whoa.
Either
from over there,
down?
ran in.
Yeah.
And now he's right there.
So whoever that person is right on the edge.
Interesting.
Right? So the video that you can rely upon that some student took at the event, you see somebody right on the edge. The releasing of this video that everybody goes, it's crystal clear in 4K, which nobody could possibly make out. The people that can see it are Benny Johnson, Jack Persobek, Erica Kirk, and Brandon Tatum. Those are the only people that get to see it. We don't get to see it.
You telling me you can't see that face right there? That's Tyler Robinson right there.
Clear as a bell. How could you not recognize him? Okay. So the audience is funny today. Okay, so now let's get to the hospital situation. So I think so Candace comes out with this. I did watch her show yesterday in preparation. So I did watch the show yesterday. I didn't watch it all, but I watched a lot of it. So what she's saying is at 10 o'clock the morning of the assassination attempt, the hospital removed people from a certain section. Apparently in preparation for Charlie Kirk coming in, and people are like, well, I'll get to some of the theories.
Sounds exactly like the JFK assassination.
Doesn't it?
All where they cleared the hospital wing.
And put a pristine bullet right on the gurney. All right. Clip number 14. Check this out.
I am told that at some point in the 10 o'clock a.m. hour on September 10th, so to be clear, and this is crucial, over 2 hours before Charlie was shot, the Timpanogos hospital staff directed everyone who was in the emergency room into a different wing of the hospital. People were not sure what was going on. The staff was directed to move everyone in the emergency room to a different wing of the hospital. Then after some time, at approximately 11:30 a.m., patients were informed that they would be transferred aboard shuttles to Intermountain Hospital. That's Utah Valley Hospital. And that's what happened. All of the emergency room patients and all of their files were then transferred to Intermountain.
So she's saying that the portions of the hospital were shut down a couple hours before the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And the implication would be they knew this was coming and they didn't want anybody to be at the hospital because they didn't want any information about the assassination. Now, again, I ask people, and maybe, and I'm asking the audience because I don't know the answer to this question. I just know that I am on social media 20 hours a day. I listen to podcasts in my sleep. I listen to news accounts in my sleep. I never turn it off. It's a real problem. I need help. I need some form of, I don't know what I need, but I need something to turn it off. I can't turn it off.
The new NA, not Narcotics Anonymous, News Anonymous.
I do. I need something. But my question to the audience is, where is the hospital footage? If Charlie Kirk was assassinated and you were getting your kidneys, a kidney removed or a kidney transplant, and you were at the hospital where Charlie Kirk, one of the most famous and most powerful influencers in America, maybe in the world, is coming to your hospital, where are the videos of Charlie Kirk coming into the hospital? Where are the patients that are going, oh my God, look at all this commotion that's going on. These people are running around. I hear Charlie Kirk is coming to my hospital. Where is it? Isaiah? You know? I mean, has anything been released?
I haven't seen anything. The last thing I saw is they're in the SUV on the way there.
I haven't even seen that. Have you seen any footage from the SUV?
No, getting in the SUV.
I haven't even seen that. I really haven't seen. I haven't seen anything from the time
I've seen him get carried from there to the SUV and then put in the SUV and drive away.
Can I see that? I'd like to see that. Can you find that maybe?
For sure. Yeah.
I haven't even seen that. I haven't seen anything. And what blows my mind about the conversation is if I have a cell phone and I'm in the hospital or I'm visiting a patient that's in the hospital and the whole world is coming to an end and there's a public assassination of Charlie Kirk and they're coming to my hospital, I would imagine in today's world, somebody would turn on a phone. Somebody would be interviewed on television to go, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what was happening. This person and this happened. Okay, let me see this. I haven't even seen this. See, I don't even see Charlie Kirk though.
Yeah, there's more videos from the other side that show him. This is just one I found, but I've seen it many, many times, Rob. I can verify that he's picked up, he's carried out, he's carried into the SUV. I can verify that.
But I thought they said like his feet were hanging out or something like that.
No, I would say that's people grasping at straws.
That were people in his circles were saying that he was so tall,
hanging out of the SUV.
His feet were hanging out of the SUV as they were driving. I'm telling you, somebody.
Yeah, it's not that they're hanging out of the SUV. It's that it was how they got him in there is what they were saying. I heard what you're talking about too. They said it was hard to get him in there because he's such a tall guy.
Right.
Yeah. But I didn't hear anything about his feet hanging out the window or anything like that.
Oh no, hanging out the door like they couldn't even close the door.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's I don't know. I would imagine that that's possible because there might have been throwing him in there trying to drive away quickly. That's probably possible.
Yeah, somebody said I should watch some of our other videos. I trust me, we're gonna have a guy on that is he'll be our correspondent. He's every single one of them. He'll be on next week. I just got to set the time and I'll remind everybody because I do want to follow the story a little bit closer now because now we're getting down to the bottom line. Now all of the information that's out there can be it can be either verified or dismissed. It can be now there's enough information to go, is everybody crazy or is Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, those geniuses, or did they tell the truth from the very beginning? I don't think so. You, Isaiah, what's your gut feeling on it?
Don't think so. Not always the truth. Here's
I see you looking something. You're funny.
Well, no. Here's I just wanted to show you the other because this is the angle I've always seen. So I didn't even see that angle that I just showed you before. This is the angle that I've always seen as these.
So inside of the SUV, Charlie Kirk was transported to the hospital in, which appears to be some kind of black glove crammed into the door panel of the vehicle, which is kind of odd when you combine the fact that an abandoned backpack was found around UVU outside of the library on campus at a bus stop that apparently had a jacket.
That the Fulton Library.
I guess that was the only.
Okay.
Right there.
Now, what is that?
That's the.
What's the implication of that video? I don't understand.
Of him, you're saying what he's trying to say?
Whatever's in the glove or whatever they're talking.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's people pointing that. It's like everything about this, Rob. People point at all these little things out. They're like, "Oh, look at that! Look at that!" Like they're like, "Oh, the chair fell through. It didn't fall through the table." And it's like, no, you watch it. You can see it get hooked and come over and fall over. It's like, it's things that people are trying to. There's things that people are grasping at straws at with this, where they're trying to make every single thing part of the conspiracy. And I think that's the problem that people that aren't bought in. Yeah, that's the people that aren't bought into this. So like, look at those lunatics. They're just grasping it. And that's how they can discredit them, right?
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that's just because they said that doesn't mean that they're not seeking the truth, right?
Nailed
They're not actually trying to find the right answer.
Right.
That's the problem I have when people are trying to say, well, discredit them. They don't know what they're talking about. I might agree with some of the things you're saying, but that doesn't mean that this person's a lunatic just because they saw something differently than I did. You know what I mean?
Smear the truth, Isaiah. You have to point
Yeah.
false evidence, and then everybody goes, "Oh, that you believe those people that said that Charlie Kirk had two heads?"
Exactly.
No, I'm not trying. No. I'm not
Exactly.
on the Charlie Kirk two head theory. I'm on the Charlie Kirk was not assassinated by somebody who was a transgender furry lover. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying the motive is what needs to be questioned, not necessarily who, because you're probably never going to know who did it.
No.
You never know who any of these assassinations.
Do we know who really assassinated JFK? Right?
Yes.
I don't know if anyone can definitively say we have three theories, and we got the Secret
Right.
Service agent in the front, maybe a different gunman, but we don't know.
Amen. Okay. So now let's get to Robert Barnes. Do you know who Robert Barnes is, Isaiah?
Sounds very familiar.
Robert Barnes was an attorney for Donald Trump. He spoke out against Donald Trump recently. He goes on InfoWars all the time.
Yes. Okay, I know who he is. Yes.
He's supposedly this brilliant attorney. He thinks Candace Owens is a woeful liar. But what I want to show is what he has to say and then what the people underneath are saying about his commentary. So this is from X, I believe. So this is Trump attorney Robert Barnes. He was he represented some lady that said the information about Pfizer and the vaccines was being withheld, and she filed a lawsuit. And that's kind of where he was real popular on InfoWars there for just a bit. Let's see what Robert Barnes had to say. It's clip number 18.
Let's see. It's not a clip. It's a
not a clip. I'm calling it a clip. Yeah.
Let's see here.
Okay, now what does Robert Barnes say?
He's reposting the video we just watched from about the hospital, just for everyone's reference. So this is about the hospital that we're talking about. And he said the inherently implausible and internally contradictory claims like these are intended to discredit the critics of the Kirk murder investigation by looping them in with Candace. Why would the murderers want a hospital to be fully ready to save Charlie?
Now let's think about this, okay? Because I love this.
Saying what we're saying, right?
Well, hang on. So he's a brilliant attorney, supposedly, goes on InfoWars all the time, was related to, he's got a COVID background, he's got Donald Trump background. Now let me read that one more time, because I think you might have misinterpreted it there for a second. Let's see what he says. The inherent, implausible, and internally contradictory claims like these, because he's talking about Candace Owens. So he is, he's basically saying Candace Owens is making stuff up.
Yeah. So he's saying that these claims are making people who are questioning what the narrative is seem crazy because he's saying she's crazy for saying these things.
And what's the last line?
Yeah. Why would the murderers want a hospital to be fully ready to save Charlie?
I want you to think about how dumb that is. Okay. Now, smart people are not going. Now let's see what the people underneath it said, because what he's basically saying is Candace is making the argument that they cleared the hospital in advance to save Charlie. And I think most people would look at that and say, if you're getting rid of the people in the hospital, it's because you want no footage when you come to the hospital of Charlie Kirk or what happened from that point. I think that would be the argument that everybody would naturally come to. But an attorney, a brilliant attorney working for Donald Trump, working on the Pfizer case, going on InfoWars, didn't recognize that that's not what Candace Owens was. That was not her point. Her point was they cleared out the hospital because when Charlie Kirk comes to the hospital, they want no footage of anything. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do. So what are the people saying underneath?
Oh, they're saying everything we're saying, right? It's like, are you really this dumb? So this person had a good comment. First, let me say, I believe you're a level-headed and one of the good guys. You proved yourself during COVID, but for the life of me, and I'm a simpleton, I cannot understand your support of the Fed narrative. They killed Charlie. This is not a leftist furry lover. They took Charlie out. Why do you want to confirm who they are? Why are you so determined to demonize Candace and not demonize those behind this rapidly disintegrating case?
Okay, next one. Let's just read a few of these.
If it wasn't clear you were a bad faith actor before, it is now. There's no way you're this dumb.
That's my point. Okay, you don't need to go any further, because that's my point.
That's what I'm saying. These people are getting the nail on the head, man.
I continue to say these people can't be that dumb. You can't be that dumb. You cannot be a well-respected attorney who's constantly on InfoWars, has his own show, has his own podcast, was an attorney working for Donald Trump, was an attorney working against the Pfizer complaint, and then not understand what Candace Owens is trying to describe to her audience and misinterpret it that much. You have to be an imbecile to take that stance, in my opinion. And that's why I say
Same thing going back to Hawley with Fauci.
Exactly.
That whole thing. It's, oh, now I know.
Correct. Pay attention to the actors. Now, can we just spend some time? I want to go through what the audience, because I think, when you talk about Charlie Kirk, we get a little bit different audience when we talk about Charlie Kirk. And I think people that are, they're just captivated by this story. And again,
of course,
my relationship to Charlie Kirk is very simple. He had the show after mine. He was, his radio show followed mine on Real Talk Radio in St. Louis. So I did 9 to noon, and then he came on, I think from, when was he on? No, when I did 9 to 11, he was 11 to noon. I think
11
that's what
to
it
noon.
was.
Yep.
And then then when I went 3 hours, they moved him to the nighttime. But for that, when I did the 2-hour show, I would listen to an hour of Charlie Kirk on my drive home all the time. So I got to know Charlie Kirk a little bit. I got to see his message start to evolve. I got to hear it every day, and I understand where he was coming from, because again, that was my radio station. I was listening to him, and I recognized that his views on Israel and Bibi Netanyahu were changing dramatically, quickly. And everybody that was paying attention to what Charlie Kirk was saying recognized that. So when he gets assassinated and they blame it on some furry lover, this transgender lover with this cockamamie story that doesn't make any sense to anybody, it makes you wonder why they would put forth such a dopey story and why they did it publicly. Right? I mean, why are people so angry at Candace Owens? That's another thing I don't quite understand. There are people that hate her guts.
One of our Freedom Principle babysitters, remember Carrie Wells, the VP of Freedom Principle?
That's
said,
right.
Oh my gosh, you were talking about Candace. I'm out of here.
Exactly. As soon as I mentioned Candace Owens, he said, I'll never listen to the show again. Not that I care, but I'm saying very odd behavior when you're exploring a story and you're in the journalistic reporting world and you want to report on a story and somebody goes, Candace Owens out. It's like I
wonder what Carrie would say to Charlie when the clip we played of Charlie saying you can't demonize these people.
Right. Rosemary says Candace covers everything. You should watch some of her older videos. I promise you, next week when Andy Polachek comes on, because Andy's very bright, very smart guy, and he's been putting out stuff on social media routinely saying, I don't understand how people are missing this. Candace Owens is right on the money. She's got this thing nailed down. Her story is much more plausible than the Fed slop story, and he is going to come on next week. He says he's watched every minute of every Candace Owens show since she started talking about Charlie Kirk.
Wow.
Fair? So we'll get his impression.
Check out this comment.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You're better at reading it than I am. I'm terrible.
2 weeks ago, Valhalla, featuring VFT YouTube channel, also made a video shooting a fresh hog with a supposed 30-06 round through the spine, and it blew out chunks when it exited. Definitely wasn't a 30-06.
I've seen all those videos. I'm not a gun enthusiast, so I cannot intelligently make determinations on that. I can't. Everybody that
have told me not a 30-06.
With me, but my dad is friends with a guy who is an avid hunter, and he said that it can happen. It's unusual, but that it can happen. Yeah. So there you go. That's my that's somebody that I know. That's not an expert on YouTube and this and that. That's somebody that I know.
Somebody
who knows guns and hunts and this and that. He said it's unusual, but it does happen. You can shoot a deer and have a 30-06 get stuck in the body. He said he's done it. It's a fact. He knows it. And I said, okay.
Yes.
Anything's possible, I guess. So let's look at the audience and see what people are saying. Just flip me through and let's see what
$30 to $50 million life insurance. Only the CEO could collect it, hence the new CEO.
Yes.
That's funny. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of comments.
How many of them up there? I'm just curious where the audience is at. Are people thinking we're crazy, or is it mostly an audience?
Oh, no, these are supporters.
All right.
Texts and the stuff with Seth at the Hamptons indicates who might have concerned about Charlie continuing to live. Yes, that's what we covered that a couple days ago with her text between her and Charlie that she released talking about the Jewish donors.
I never dedicate a show to Charlie. I haven't. This is
the first time we've done it. We just talk about it.
We touch on it, but we don't dig into it very often. This is the first really digging in, and I'm going to cover it. I am going to cover the case because I think that Charlie Kirk and the assassination of Charlie Kirk is it's kind of like COVID. These are things that when you really start to understand what's going on, it changes your perception, switches your reality just a little bit to what's going on in America, and hopefully at some point we'll all band together and start to take our government back. Because right now we don't have a press, we don't have the institutions that we should be relying upon, we don't have we don't have anything. We don't have a legitimate stock. We don't have anything. Everything is nonsense. As Sean Ryan said, once I started to realize everything was fake, he goes, it just blew my mind. I said, yes, we're right there.
Pete Davies says, join enterprise. The tiny hat people needed him gone. Deep state needed him gone. Palantir, Teal wanted him gone.
Lee Davis,
Yes,
we
that's what
agree with
we-
you. Lee Davies,
talked
we
about.
agree with you, Lee. That's kind of where we're coming from.
We're
what
actually
else?
getting shirts to make sure that we can grow our audience on the internet. We're going to get shirts that say we stand with Israel.
Correct.
That way we can make sure we can grow the audience, reach the most people.
It'll be tongue in cheek, but when we put we stand with Israel on our shirts, we think the algorithms will benefit us. That's what we believe. Speaking of that, if you think this was, for example, Isaiah, and then we'll move on with the show. I got a lot more stuff I want to get to. Let's just say that the transgender agenda was behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Well, why did Israel buy, or Israel-backed people, why did they buy TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they buy CBS? Why did George Soros buy Odyssey Radio?
Paramount.
And what was the other one? There's one other one that was and then you have Bibi Netanyahu, because we played that at the time. I started to recognize that my X numbers didn't make any sense. We're going from 1,500 to 35 live viewers at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, Nikita Beer is starting to make everyone
right. And then you start talking about Israel, because at the beginning we're talking about Missouri politics because we're leaving the radio. Then we start talking about Israel and what we were, the stuff that gets you in trouble with the algorithms. And then all of a sudden you could just see it start to wane. Right, Isaiah?
Oh yeah.
You start once we talked about
we're not the only ones.
Oh no, this is everybody's talking about this.
Everyone.
So if we get the shirts that I stand with Israel with the big Star of David on our chest, and as we do the show, we think the algorithms might pick it up and be beneficial. So we'll do it like in a sarcastic manner, and then they won't know.
Like JP Sears, that's why he gets his
Yes!
right. He's wearing the Israel hat.
Right. If you speak sarcasm, I don't know that the machine can pick up your sarcasm. Okay.
Yes. John's got the best comment of the day right here. Anything is possible. Someone as smart and handsome as Isaiah carries the show for you. Yes.
Well, he says that every day. He goes, it should be, I should be in the tiny box, he says.
I love John hasn't been here the last couple of days. He must have been golfing. So
yeah, he might have been working.
Glad to have you back.
He's still angry at all the ass kickings he had to take. So
this is a good one right here. This is from the Rileys. This is a new listener from today. I think they said they're from out of the country, actually, even said, if my husband was murdered, I would not stop searching for the truth of what happened, every single person involved. I'd welcome every voice and set of eyes helping me to do that. It's crazy to me.
Another great point. That's another great point. This is one of the things, because, I think that Erica Kirk's behavior is bizarre. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people go, Rob, she's a widow. You can't really talk about a widow like that. I'm like, well, I know, but she took over TP USA. She's a public figure. Her actions don't make any sense to me. The thing she talks about doesn't make any sense to me. The way she dresses doesn't make any sense to me. Nothing makes any sense to me with Erica Kirk. Then you go back to the Romanian orphanages, her ties to Donald Trump and the beauty pageants, and you start to see, there might be. Where was Erica Kirk's father? Do we all know that story? I know the audience does, but if you're somebody who's not following this story very closely, her father goes back to manufacturing weapons in Israel. Isaiah, you can't make it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And as somebody says there, they control the platforms. This is the problem we have. This will be the number one problem moving forward in our country. Remember, I told you this. I'll be the first one to tell you. You cannot be free without a free press. That's why it's in the First Amendment. You don't have a free press like you think. You don't. I can say these things, but X and the major platforms are going to limit the distribution of the message. And they told you that. They don't even hide it. Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach. Number two, these are not private platforms. These are government regulated and controlled platforms. That is why when you say we want to buy TikTok and the government goes, yeah, those Chinese didn't own TikTok. America owned TikTok. It's just they didn't like what TikTok was talking about. So they let the Israelis buy it. Same thing is going on with X right now. We can see it. I mean, we're right in the middle of it. You get to see what goes down. You start to see, and who's Zuckerberg? Is Zuckerberg a Chinese name? Isaiah Zuckerberg. Look up Zuckerberg and see if that's Chinese.
He's married to a Chinese woman.
Correct. Is he Chinese? Is Zuckerberg Chinese?
No, that would be Jewish.
It is. Okay, so it's not Chinese. I just want to make sure, because the people that are taking over the media have alliances with Israel, not with China, with Israel. And I love Israel, as you know, Isaiah. I'm going to get the shirt that says I love Israel. I stand with Israel. I stand, I sit, I toss, I jump, everything with Israel. But
we do love the Israeli people, and we love the country.
I'm not even mad at Israel. I'm just talking about Bibi Netanyahu and what they're doing in alignment with the Zionist leaders of our country.
I forgot to tell you, I talked to a Palestinian yesterday because we have a Palestinian that runs a gas station here, and I just got a message. I'm going in there to get. I was getting a Dr. Pepper and a Arizona iced tea for Bella, my wife, and walk in there. I'm like, hey man, and he knows me because I'm an alderman here, so he knows me. And I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? Trump just said that they completely disarmed Hamas in Gaza. I was like, did you live in Gaza or the West Bank? He's like, oh, I lived in the West Bank. That's where I'm from. I was like, okay, what do you think? He goes, fuck Trump and fuck Bibi Netanyahu. Sorry for the language, but that's exactly what he said.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, Isaiah.
I know, yeah. But I'm delivering the facts. Okay. That's exactly what it came out of his mouth. And I said, wow, why do you think that? Right? Because it was a strong reaction just from that's why I said that. Hey, what do you think about this? That was his reaction. I said, why do you think that? Because I'm curious. I want to know. And he said, well, I just think that Trump is a liar. I think that what he's told us and what he's doing, he's lying to us. And he's like, I 100% think that Bibi Netanyahu is a complete liar too. I was like, it's interesting you say that because I have Israeli friends that served in the IDF and things, and they've hated Netanyahu until October 7th. He goes, oh, wow, isn't that convenient?
Well, lines up with the next statement. Right, Isaiah? Lines up. So somebody says,
sorry to cuss people, but I was just delivering what he told me. Sorry.
You got to give a disclaimer.
I know, man. Like, ding, 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 ding.
Somebody says, look up into Salem Media.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about Salem Media from the very beginning because, again, if you start to see these things take shape, it changes your opinion of what you thought you knew. Because most people that are coming from a libertarian standpoint or a let's fight the swamp standpoint or Donald Trump's here to save the world, the Q standpoint, they are still in alignment with Donald Trump, no matter what he does. There's nothing he can do that doesn't make sense in their minds. And I say it doesn't make sense to me, so I question it. Salem Media is where the Trumps, along with Laura Trump, are bought into Salem Media through Brad Parscale, who was the campaign manager of the Donald Trump campaign and is a dual citizen with Israel. He is a registered foreign agent for Israel. Salem Media, a big media group here in America that is invested in by Laura Trump and I think Eric Trump, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Donald Trump, one of the Trumps. I can't tell you. Again, this is all right out in the open. It's just that you don't have a free press. It's that simple. If we had a free press, all the stuff would be out there. You don't have a free press. You have a controlled press. You have Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and then all the big corporate conglomerates. And then you have podcasters that stick to one particular agenda because that's where their money is derived, because it's salacious and it brings in viewers. And I'm not mad at it. I'm just telling you how the system works. And all of a sudden you have real information that could actually change the forward progress of our nation being suppressed because the same people that own the corporate media also own the social media platforms. It's all just one big suppression of information, and sad but true, but it is what's going on.
Can I show you how it's
just what's going on
used here in Missouri?
Shoot.
So this is pretty interesting. You know this guy, Tom Estes.
Just met him.
Chief of staff for a guy who will probably be a U.S. congressman. I would venture to guess. I don't want him to be. I'm not saying that I'm endorsing. I'm just saying that that's the nature of how these things go. Tom Estes has said, Josh Hammer, one of the most conservative and brilliant minds in the country, thinks you should vote yes on 5. That's Amendment 5 here in Missouri, and axe the tax, as they say. But what does he know? I'm sure some random anonymous X account knows way more than him.
So what's interesting about Josh Hammer is the one that debated Dave Smith at Turning Point USA, and Dave Smith wiped the walls with Josh Hammer because Josh Hammer is, again, one of these Zionist people that if you ask any questions about the relationship between the United States and Israel, he attacks you. And there he is.
Yeah. So let's just look. The Josh Hammer Show. What? Oh, whoa.
Salem Media Group, you don't say.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Okay.
I think people that are just joining in don't recognize that we cover every ounce of everything. We know exactly what's going on within the media because that's one of our. To me, that's the be all
obsession.
It's the number one thing is the elections. And the reason you don't know that the elections are being manipulated all over the country is because the media doesn't tell you the full story. They just don't cover it. Yeah. They give you just enough to wet your whistle, but they don't try to solve any of the problems, which is what the press is designed.
What's the Laura Ingraham example you give all the time? I love that example. You say she was right there and she could have asked that one more question, but
that wasn't Laura Ingraham. That was Megyn Kelly.
Oh, Megyn Kelly. Sorry. Okay.
And just very quick. So you made a reference that I want to clear up. So Megyn Kelly is on with Donald Trump, and she says, because Fauci's in the news, And she says, your audience didn't really like Fauci. And why did you give him a Medal of Commendation before you left office? And Donald Trump goes, I don't know who did that. I didn't give Dr. Fauci a Medal of Commendation. And I'm like, well, it's coming from the White House on January 19th, 2021. It's got your name on it. I mean, if Megyn Kelly wasn't a part of the system, and I ask anybody, just respond to me, please, if you're listening to the show, you explain it to me. How can a journalist that was on primetime Fox News and they got a big gig over at NBC now has a podcast that's falling apart? Nobody's paying attention to Megyn Kelly, unfortunately, anymore. How in the world could she say, why did you give Anthony Fauci a Medal of Commendation before you left the White House? He says that he didn't do it. Wouldn't the very next question from any journalist in the world, I'm talking about first year journalism 101, say, well, who do you think did then, Mr. President? Because it came from your office, came from the White House, and it came while you were the president of the United States. And it congratulates Dr. Darth Fauci and the entire Warp Speed team.
We go on the President Trump archive. It says President Donald J. Trump gave the to Dr. Fauci. So who's giving it? That's your letterhead.
Didn't think to ask the question. Still hasn't asked the question. And again, that was almost 2 years ago. And not one journalist in America has said, why did you do that? Who did it? Who was it? Because they're talking about Biden and his auto pen. At the same time, Donald Trump is saying that somebody auto penned him on the White House website, giving all this adulation to the Warp Speed team, including Dr. Anthony Fauci. And
I did hear him say the other day, he goes about Joe Biden. He's like, yeah, Joe Biden's an auto pen. And he goes, and I signed I signed most of my things. He corrected himself very quick. And I was like, wait, does that mean you're using the auto pen?
So the Rileys are starting to pick up on. We've talked about this endlessly. Okay, so I don't know who this person is. The Riley
first listener from Australia.
First person, Australia.
Yeah, first time listener from
Australia. I'm
Australia.
to Australia for a little bit, and I'll tell that story someday. 39 states in U.S. illegal to boycott Israel. We talk about that endlessly because in Missouri we have that law, and it was put forth by a guy named Bob Onder. We also have
a congressman, by the way, just so everyone knows.
The U.S. congressperson when he was working in the Missouri General Assembly. He is the one that organized it with a girl named Holly Rader, so that if you do business with the state of Missouri as a contractor, you have to sign a loyalty pledge with Israel. There's a guy named Haruza who just passed laws that said you can't really even discuss the Holocaust if you don't subscribe to the original story. You can't even talk about it in our schools. This is what's happening in Missouri. So we're fully aware of those things. We talk about them all the time. And I think once you start to recognize what we're trying to do, my mind works a little bit different than most, I think. But I think if you pay attention every day, you'll see how all of these things start to merge together. All the stories that we bring up, state, local, federal, and international stories, they all merge together to where it paints a very clear picture that our government is lying to us. We have a controlled media. We create war all over the world so we can steal resources. Fact, that's what's happening, so that we can steal resources, but we're not stealing them for America. That's the thing that people can't get through their heads. We're stealing them from global corporations. We're just the muscle because we print the money. Think of how powerful you would be, everybody, if you could print money from thin air. Think how much power you would have if the currency that the world uses, you got to print from thin air. Just think about it. And therein lies the problem. Can I get a little bit more with Stu Peters? Now, here's the deal with Stu Peters. Now, I find Stu Peters to be very interesting. Now, I always say people are talented or they're not. Isaiah, you're like me. We judge talent a lot. It's just kind of our nature. We can.
He's a great communicator.
Absolutely. So whatever industry you're in, I can kind of say, okay, that's a really talented person. Stu Peters is incredibly talented. Okay. Do I think he's an anti-Semite? Isaiah, I think he is.
Yeah, I think it rides over that line a little bit.
Right. So for him, it's Jews. I don't say Jews. They're like with everything. There are evil people. And I think they're evil people within this movement. And I think it's a Zionist movement. And I think there's Christians involved. I think there's Jewish people involved. I think there's Muslims. I think there's Arabs. I think everybody is involved in this movement.
We need to do a show where we talk about historical Zionism and modern Zionism so that we can help people understand this idea of the Greater Israel Project. And
we got to get into religion a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Because I do believe this is a spiritual battle. But I want to do this. This is Stu Peters. He had the Leah files, which you're a big fan of the Leah files.
Man, her information is on point.
I don't know where to start with this because
I'm a big reader, so I'll read 25 pages of something,
I can't do it.
So that's what she does. She'll put out I always reference her surveillance state article that I've got right here. It's, I don't know,
You're
20,
a fan because you've
20
referenced
pages.
several times on the show. You say the Leah
Oh
file.
my.
And she claims that she's a former intelligence operator. So that always makes me a little nervous. I don't know how you become
I know,
a
that's
former intelligence operator, but nonetheless. So
that's my concern. That's my only concern.
Somebody said Leah file got doxxed. Whatever.
Yeah.
She's going to give you the information. Anybody can go look it up and see what it means. But she was on Stu Peters, and she kind of goes through the money of how Turning Point USA was organized. And if it's true, which it appears to be true, I mean, I haven't really done all the research because this was just last night. It's mind-boggling, Isaiah. It's absolutely mind-boggling. What you see is the way a mafia would construct a financial organization. This is how mafias do it. There's money coming from here to there to here to there to this way to that way, some profits, nonprofits, whatever. And the money's going all over the place. And if you remember, I think what they're trying to get at with this piece we're going to play from Stu Peters here is that Charlie Kirk, right before he died, there's an email says he wants a forensic accounting of all of his money. Now, if you're trying to find motive for the assassination of Charlie Kirk and you don't believe the furry transgender story, then there's a lot more evidence that the people who would actually have the power, the means, and the motive to kill Charlie Kirk, this is where it comes from. And again, if you're a first-time listener, I ask all of your friends if this makes any sense. If Charlie Kirk, as he said on his podcast, was getting death threats, is there any security force that you can understand in your mind that would allow people to roam around rooftops and take dead aim at Charlie Kirk when you're paying, I would assume, millions
Maybe
of
the
dollars?
Secret Service that was protecting President Trump and Butler. Maybe they could do it too.
Thank you very much. And I say to everybody that within the sound of my voice, if Robb Carter has to run a security company tomorrow, and my job is to protect the life of Charlie Kirk, and I do not check the rooftops on a college event after death threats, knowing the power that he was up against. Got to remember, Harrison Smith put out, I have information that the Jews are trying to kill, or Israel or the Jews. Which was it? Was Harrison Smith? He said Jews or Israel?
Israel.
Israel is trying to kill Charlie Kirk. Now, if I know all of that and I'm running security for Charlie Kirk, I've got drones and I've got somebody on the rooftops. I have to see it with my eyes and I have to know that they're up there before I allow Charlie Kirk into a fishbowl. And they didn't do it. And if we had legitimate information and legitimate government and legitimate judicial systems, the people that were running Charlie Kirk's security would all be in prison because it's basically manslaughter. Nobody's that stupid not to cover the rooftops. Nobody is that stupid. I don't care what anybody tells you. Nobody's that stupid. It's impossible to be that stupid, Isaiah. Absolutely impossible to be that stupid. So you'd have to, now you got to get into, if his security team was complicit in the murder, and the security team are the ones that took out the SIM cards right after, and you can watch it with your own eyes. They're the ones that taken out are they called SIM cards? Is that what I'm talking about?
SD cards.
SD cards. So they take out the SD cards from the cameras, and then, as we heard in the preliminary hearings, turned it over to the FBI several days or weeks later. This, again, you don't have to be a genius to figure out this information and not believe the story that our media continues to try to shove down our throats, despite any reasonable person looking at all the evidence would come to a completely different conclusion. Fair?
This person's asking, what if we don't believe that he's dead? What would you say to that, Rob?
I mean,
I haven't entertained that. I haven't gone down any of those rabbit holes.
You can convince me of anything. And the reason I think that is, there's somebody that reached out to me right away. She's a dentist in town. She listens to the show. And she said, I don't believe that he's dead. I think what we saw there was theater, because Charlie Kirk, they believed he was going to get killed. So they had to pretend that he was killed and drag him off so that he's nowhere to be found. And the people that were actually trying to do it were the people, the dual citizens of that foreign country that we're talking about. And they had to, Trump was trying to protect. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but you could convince me of anything. I mean, nothing would surprise me. There.
This is a funny one. I went to Sicilian school. What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you?
Exactly.
All right, let's get to Stu Peters, and you tell me what you think of this. And I can't remember how long this is, Isaiah. I think this was relatively long. The Stu Peters, what they're making the argument is, okay. This is the weapons trafficking one. This is not the Leah files. Did I get the Leah files one in here today? Did I send that to you?
I can grab it if you didn't.
If not, we'll do it tomorrow. Or we'll do it Monday.
I'll grab it right now. It'll take me a second.
Well, let's do this clip first then, because I don't want to make people wait. So let's do this. I apologize for that, but I set up the wrong clip. So this is the one with weapons trafficking. So he has this woman who's got makeup all, and the whole thing seems a little weird to me. But she's telling Stu Peters that the planes of Miriam Adelson and Turning Point USA are converging at multiple different points. And then after they merge, Miriam Adelson's plane flies to Israel and then comes directly back. And people go, what does that have to do with anything? She's making the argument that why would anybody do that? Why would Miriam Adelson's plane converge on the same runways as a Turning Point USA plane, because they have these tags, they can follow these planes. And then the plane from Miriam Adelson takes off to Israel and then 8 hours later comes back. She's making the argument that something was being run, and she makes the argument that it's probably arms that are being transferred through Turning Point USA and subsidiaries of Turning Point USA to Israel. Maybe Charlie got wind of that, and now we got problems. That's the argument she's making. Just take a peek at it. Tell me what you think. This is clip number 6, Isaiah.
The more confirmation that we get that this was a high-level military operation that involved the betrayal of Charlie Kirk by the people who were closest to him. What you found were that planes, in short, belonging to Turning Point USA are in the same places at the same times as aircraft owned and operated by Miriam Adelson. The first screenshot that I have here is tail number Alpha Alpha Foxtrot 1 Delta Delta. Take us through this aircraft and what this screenshot represents.
Sure, yeah. So this is an image of an aircraft that's owned by Miriam Adelson. I call it 804. That is one of her large BBJ aircraft that, the family uses. It's not usually the one that we see her specifically flying around on, but family, VIPs, immediate associates, that's a friends and family aircraft. And as you can see, it right there is on the runway along with another smaller plane that's 582 mm. And that aircraft belongs to Turning Point USA. That particular date, that is August 14th of last year. And that's just one of, I think, of about 24 or 25 occasions where they met up on a runway and hung out for an hour or two. And then the Adelsons flew on to Israel.
Just to be clear, that is a jet that is owned by Turning Point USA or used by Turning Point USA?
That's right.
And on how many occasions are they on the tarmac with Miriam Adelson's aircraft?
Around 24, 25 occasions. And although, that's an interesting data point, it's really what they're doing beforehand and after that seems to be a little bit more of a concern.
Turning Point USA aircraft meet up with Miriam Adelson's aircraft for roughly an hour of overlap. And Miriam Adelson's aircraft then immediately leave and go directly to Israel.
That's right.
And then they come back the following day from Israel.
That's right. It definitely follows the same kind of pattern that you would expect to see if someone was delivering cargo of some kind.
So Anna Escobar is her name.
Interesting.
Kurt says too much makeup. Doesn't trust her. Too much makeup.
Yeah.
But other people are saying, because I don't follow, this is the first time I've ever seen her face. So apparently people that follow the story think that she's very bright and brings up information. Now, again, what's interesting about all of this is any human being on the planet could check the information. All this information is available to the public. So if you disagree with her, you can look this information up. If you go back and look at Stu Peters, you can find out where she's getting the information. It is public. Apparently you can track planes, Isaiah, through identification. So you can track planes when you want. So she's saying, okay, well, here I've got this.
You can track military planes too. That's how I was doing that during the Iran war. I was seeing where all these KC-135s were going in. They would drop off the radar going into Israel and things like that. So it's very interesting when you follow some of these things.
Yeah,
you can get a lot of information that isn't being reported, but you can find out through flight paths and things like that.
Yeah, people like her. Somebody says analytical analysis. She is great. So
she worked at a military base.
What's her name? Anna. What is it? Escobar.
Anna Escobar.
One N or two N's? ANA or ANNA?
It looks like ANA. That's what it says on the video.
I'll look into her. I want to figure out what's going on with her too, because
I couldn't find a clip of Leah Files. He just has the interview up, the full interview. So
okay, so let's do a little bit. Let me get the. I want to bring that in because it's important to the story today. So let me get some advertising in here very quickly, and then we'll move on with the story because it does fascinate me. You got to say, just from a pure interest,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is why people are captivated by it, because Charlie Kirk made an impression on a lot of people. My son and my daughter, I had no idea how important Charlie Kirk was in their lives. I didn't even recognize this was happening, Isaiah. You know, my son's 33 years old. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he was heartbroken by the entire situation. I didn't even know that was going on. He actually went down to Arizona for the memorial and the
Wow.
whole thing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's just interesting that, you know, this young man had so much influence over people. It blows my mind. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. Again, this is our general contractor for the show. If you're in the state of Missouri, or if you're in St. Charles County, St. Louis County, Franklin County, any of the surrounding areas of St. Louis and St. Charles County, this is our general contractor. Why, Rob? Why did you choose ECS Roofing and Exteriors? Very simple. He's been around for 30 years. He comes from the insurance background. So one of the scams that is used to get people into a system for roofing is to knock on your door after a storm, say, I see something on your roof that can be fixable. We'll bring in the insurance companies and we'll help you fix it. It happened to me. When he was telling me the story, I said, well, that happened to me. So now I know you're on the right track, because this happened to me. He says, Rob, I work for the insurance companies. I know exactly how this goes down. If I tell you that your roof will be covered by the insurance, I know what I'm talking about. He goes, every other person that comes to your door and knocks on your door and says, I can fix your roof and I'll get the insurance companies to cover it. He goes, they're just trying to create a relationship with you. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They're just trying to get a communication line going on so they can solicit you forever. I said, well, that's very interesting. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, 30 years in the business, used to build homes. He knows your home from top to bottom, and him and his wife are just wonderful people. Roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metal, residential or commercial, doesn't matter, new construction, storm damage, free licensed inspections, and he is a licensed independent insurance adjuster. As he said to me, and I'll just read what he wrote to me. He said, Rob, just a thought. Send me an email. Rob, just a thought. One other area in my business other than storms is retail and new construction. I love the retail and new construction side of the business. We run on low overhead so we can pass the savings to our clients. Our prices cannot be beat. Even with that, we offer a Class 3 shingle, ridge vent, and a complete installation guarantee, a 5-year workmanship warranty on top of the manufacturer's warranty. Best in class. That's all we deal with is best in class. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. You can go to Facebook right now and look up their work. 314-486-3567. 314-486-3567. And then on Tuesdays at 11, we always have Carrington Financial and Rick Babbitt's on the show. Rick Babbitt's, as you're starting to understand, has a wealth of knowledge in that head of his. He knows the media. He knows the currency. He knows the history of economics. He knows the history of our country. So when you're looking at retirement and you're wanting to save or protect or grow your money, you've got to get the opinion of Rick Babbitt's. That's what I say to everybody. I said, listen, I know you got a buddy that's doing your finances. That's fine. I say, get his opinion. Call him up. He'll give it to you for free. You'll end up making a friend.
And he's licensed in many states, so it's not just Missouri. You know, this is one of our advertisers that can help many people around the country.
Have you recognized he's a genius yet?
Oh, are you kidding me?
Absolutely. Don't you want a genius taking care of your money? YourCaringAdvisor.com. Rick Babbitt's 314-671-0525. 314-671-0525. YourCaringAdvisor.com. And then we got to get one more in. Let's do Dr. Helen Gelhart. I've become friends with Dr. Helen Gelhart and her husband, Paul, primarily because I love and respect what they're trying to do. Again, as you start to have memories of COVID, you got to remember Dr. Helen Gelhart left the hospital administrations. She left them. She said, I could not provide the care that I wanted to unless I became an independent, free doctor. And I can only tell you, it must have cost her an enormous amount of money, but she does it anyway because she cares about people. She's a doctor because she wants to help people, not to get rich. Big difference. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. Rob, what can she do for you? Well, if you this is the best way I put it. Anything that will kill you, she specializes in. Anything that will kill you. One of the things that I love about her practice is she has techniques to reverse Alzheimer's and dementia. I've seen this firsthand. I know what it does to a family. So anytime I see it starting to take shape and I recognize just how devastating it can be to family when the parents or the grandparents start to lose their marbles, this is the woman you need to call. She can reverse Alzheimer's and dementia. She also has the earliest cancer detection blood test available on the market. She pre-screens for heart attacks and strokes. and generally just a wonderful lady. Feel, think, look better, live longer. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. I say make that call as fast as you can, if you are somebody that wants to make sure they take care of their life by getting to anything that will kill you early. Right? And that's what they always say, get to it early and survive a long time. That's the practice that she's in. Dr. Helen Gelhot. Again, AdvancedWellnessMed.com. 314-576-0009.
And I know we got a lot of people from across the world and the country listening. So we got all kinds of people that fly in to see Dr. Helen. So feel free to reach out to her. She's an expert in the Alzheimer's dementia area, reversing that.
But actually, her mentor was on Tucker Carlson. That's when she told me, I'm like, really? And when she mentioned, she mentioned this guy's name is Dr. Yoon. And she mentioned his name. I go, was he just on Tucker Carlson? She said, I don't know. And then I brought it up. She recognized what was going on. She goes, oh, yeah, that's him. And she said that she had cancer when she was young, and she knew that he had the answers to take care of her cancer. So she went right into his office and said, I need your help. He became a mentor to her, and that's how she knows so much about cancer. And just, she's got a crazy, wonderful story. Just a great lady. Okay. Where do we want to go? Do you want to go to Leah Files now?
Yeah, we can.
Let's do Leah Files. Let's just run through it just a little bit, because I wonder how many people we have. A lot, the audience is, I think we have a lot of people that pay attention to the story.
Oh yeah.
Let's check it out to see if they know anything about the Leah Files and what
So this is just his whole show. I just fast forwarded to the
anywhere just people get a sense of it.
It looks like he goes right into kind of following the money in TPUSA here. So we'll jump in with him.
Which was then driven to Utah Valley University, where it blew up on Charlie, and where it pushed a shape charge into Charlie, and where he was killed. And there's all kinds of corroborating circumstantial evidence to point to the perfect procurement pipeline of a weapon like that. And then with the timeline and the people who would have to be involved with that being Google image searched on Fort Huachuca, and then we come out with that, and then that data is deleted, and then Andrew Wilson wants to say, well, you can't replicate that because it's been deleted. As if that's an argument, you're substantiating my point. My point is, these people are deleting data in real time. Somebody at Turning Point, somebody in the military-industrial complex, the Trump administration, somebody in the government, somebody in the intel community has the sway to make all of that just go away. And people are just hand-waving that off as conspiracy theory. Okay, sure. So all the way down to the driver, Justin Davis, of the SUV that allegedly brought Charlie Kirk's lifeless body to Timpanogos Regional Hospital, where nobody saw him. None of the public saw him. And now today I had another phone call, which I'm unwilling to substantiate at this point, but from somebody, a whistleblower at Timpanogos Regional Hospital, and this information I'm working to vet. There's a lot of things going on, obviously, that support that theory. Justin Davis, the driver, Brian Harpole, Johnny Moore in his capacity with Kairos, Andrew Kovic in his capacity with Kairos. These people all being Google image searched from Fort Huachuca. Okay, well, it was from Sierra Vista. Sierra Vista serves Fort Huachuca, 85% of the population there.
Forward it to Leah.
Huh?
These planes flying around, they raise honest questions about...
See if you can get to where Leah's at, and
15 years.
Go to her chart.
Well, since
the money, there you go.
The Leah Files has taken it upon herself to follow.
He was
the
about
money
to get into it in 5 seconds.
I really appreciate you being here.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. Everybody's really excited for you to be here and try to unpack all of this for us. After going through 13 years of filings?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 13, 14, yep.
Does any of this to you look like a normal nonprofit that just grew really quickly, or like a structure deliberately engineered so that the money is hard to follow and the insiders stay in control?
That one. It's hard to follow. It's the growth is fine. It's the way that they use the money and the structure they set up to use it. That's a red flag. Not normal.
So let's take a look at some of this. And what you have lined out here suggests that the same 5 people sit on both.
Wow. Look at that.
Look at this. So this is all the different offshoots of Turning Point USA and how the money was being distributed. I mean,
I don't know.
Can you imagine if we did that, Isaiah? I need 25 attorneys just to move money around like that.
Yeah.
And why would Turning Point USA, which was an organization effort, why would they have all these different subsidiaries? It doesn't even really jive to make any sense.
There we go. Here we go. Not sure why that jumped so far.
Look at
Donors, Turning Point USA. They got TPUSA Faith to the right. It goes down to the Turning Point PAC, TP Endowment Fund, America's Turning Point.
The bottom one is the most interesting one because that's
Same
where
5 people run it all.
The same. Now think about it. The same 5 people run that situation right there. All right, let her roll. I just think it's when you look at those things and you understand how businesses are formed and you understand how you maneuver money around, this looks like a money laundering scheme to me.
Yep.
And Charlie wasn't money laundering, so whoever was running the finances, organizing this operation was moving money around so people couldn't trace it.
Yes.
Okay, go
Receives
ahead.
that money. And then from there, it gets really muddy and they send it to Turning Point Action, Turning Point PAC, Turning Point Endowment, and then America's Turning Point, which we'll get into. And then you also have TPUSA Faith, which doesn't even show where the money goes to them. We can't find it. But they are a separate entity. They are spending money. But if you give money to Turning Point, it's going to be used at TPUSA Faith, but there's no transparency on how much or what they're using it for because it's a religious arm. And I think that is definitely a red flag.
So take us through this slide and all of these different Turning Point Action, Turning Point PAC, the Turning Point Endowment. Take us through all of this, put them together as far as the same 5 people running all of this. Why would this be concerning for me?
Yeah, so Turning Point receives the donations and they're tax exempt. And I think that's really important because they're using our money. Like the taxpayer, the government subsidizes tax exempt organizations. That's just how it works. So they come into Turning Point and then Turning Point moves it to the endowment through grants. They move it to the Turning Point USA or America's Turning Point, sorry. But when you follow it from there, you can't really see what it's doing and it's not supporting any sort of mission. Their mission is free markets and teaching kids and people about free markets, but it doesn't look like that in their financials at all. And then the way that they move their money has always been a red flag too. And they go through all 3 of those and the same people sit on those boards. The same people are paid throughout all of them. They split their income. And if you're an auditor, you're looking at one organization and it makes sense. But if you're somebody looking at all of them put together, that's where it definitely started to get me interested and down these roads.
So we have 4 sets of books, 1 wallet, 4 tax IDs, 1 wallet, same controllers. Why create this much complexity unless the real goal is to fragment the money and make a full accounting nearly impossible?
No, I mean, that's a great question. And I think, and you'll see too, they're doing this and now the government is starting to look into nonprofits because of this. I don't think this is necessarily uncommon, unfortunately. I unfortunately think that a lot of nonprofits do this. But Turning Point has so much money and they spend so little on their actual,
That to me, if that structure is correct, that looks like money laundering. That's how money laundering is. You make it so hard to digest and you get attorneys involved. And every time somebody asks you a question, you got 25 different pages going back and forth. And people you have to spend $1 bazillion to work it all out. And if you've got the government on because he was tied to Donald Trump. So if you got the DOJ in your back pocket and they're not going to ask any questions, well, then you can literally get away with murder. So what is this? It says, Leah, here we go again. Leah, is it ever going to end? Leah, here we go again. I don't know what that means. Is this somebody who thinks that Leah is full of crap? Because I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Because if Leah's a BS artist and somebody has evidence to that end, I would like to know it. Because I don't pay attention to as much as you do.
She's come out because people doxed her and her children and things like that. And she's very upset about that because of her children being involved.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, you think I'm a Fed? Sure. Here's all my information. Here's everything about me. She's openly giving information out there.
So that's a song.
So it'd be interesting. Oh, it's a song. I love that. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't know the song. Do you know the song? No. I know every song and I don't know that song.
No.
That's another part of my appeal.
Is that song? Is that an old song? No.
by Donnie Iris. Okay. I don't.
Donnie Iris.
I don't recognize the song, but okay. All right. And does anybody have any information to contradict what Leah has said? Because I don't like to I like to take the audience's advice because most people that listen to the show are seeking the truth.
Political savants.
Political savants. Exactly. By the way, Isaiah, can I just redivert from Charlie Kirk for just a second?
Of course.
So let's go back to when I opened up my Twitter account. Can you go to my X account? Mm-hmm. I just noticed this yesterday. I'd forgotten about it. So now that we're talking about Fauci, and people that know me from the very beginning know that I come from the business world. and I started doing a podcast because COVID. I was in China when COVID started, and I knew that it was a con job from day one. So I started a podcast to tell people. And now I'm starting to recognize. I thought that was just a con. Now I'm recognizing everything's a con. What does it say there when it describes me, Isaiah?
The Robb Carter, independent journalist, political savant, small business advocate. COVID was a scam.
How about that? I just noticed that. So that when I started this, when I got onto Twitter, which what year was that? 2000, because I was kicked off, and then I came back. So in 2023, I said COVID was a scam.
Or 22, sorry.
And now, or 22. So what? Almost 4 years ago, and now everybody's starting to recognize that it was true. Got to remember, they were not saying that at the time, Isaiah. This country was split half and half, and now all the crazy people.
I was a crazy person for listening to Dr. Malone.
Think all the people are walking around with 10 different masks on, bubble wrap, and couldn't see any of their friends, wouldn't travel, it was stuck to their houses. I mean, the insanity was amazing. And that is why, the only reason I bring it up is I kind of see some of these correlations with Charlie Kirk. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no legitimate evidence to make you believe something other than an expert is telling you that. Does everybody know the Milgram experiment? We've talked about it on the show before, Isaiah. The Milgram experiment was run out of Yale. If you're unfamiliar with the experiment and you're somebody who goes, Rob, come on. I mean, the official story makes perfect sense with Charlie Kirk. The official story that the kid in Butler acted and he climbed up on top of a shed. He just happened to know that there was going to be a ladder there. I heard the original story, by the way, on the Butler shooting was he climbed a ladder, and then it turned and he climbed up from a
air conditioning,
right? So you get conflicting stories. But again, I ask everybody, same with the Butler story is the same with the Charlie Kirk story. Is there a situation in your mind where the president of the United States is giving a speech and some kid can climb up onto the top of a shed and have the Secret Service all around him with guns pointing at him, and then he's got a scope on it, and he's sitting down on top of a shed pointing a gun at the president of the United States, and nobody shoots him until after he shoots? Is there a scenario in your mind where
he shoots another guy first?
Yes. And by the way, they don't buy the story anymore either.
Yeah.
So the fireman that was shot, his family's going, wait a minute, something smells wrong here. But Donald Trump's administration put that story to bed already.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean about we're starting to see the.
Yeah. When they kill him, they don't really got to do an investigation.
Correct. But the stories don't make any sense.
No.
And there's a group of people.
Everyone said Thomas Crooks was a great kid, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he had glowing reports from everybody that knew him that he was this great kid. That's why the MK Ultra stories make sense. That's why the infiltration of the gay agenda begins to make sense. That's how you end up with the transgender agenda. Trying to destroy the country. Would a government that was trying to protect this country allow the borders to be open for 50 years? Would the people that are sworn to uphold the Constitution allow 20, 30, 40, 50 million people into our country illegally? And then when you go, well, who was running the border when when Joe Biden was the president? Who was it? It was a guy named Alejandro Mayorkas. Alejandro Mayorkas was on the board of HIAS. Do you want to look up HIAS real fast, Isaiah?
I'm very familiar with HIAS.
Let's look up HIAS real fast. HIAS. Let's find out who was controlling the border when Joe Biden, who got 81 million votes, became the president.
I wonder if everyone knows who HIAS is. Let's see.
They're not going to know who HIAS is. Nobody knows because nobody tells anybody what's going on. Yeah. But Alejandro Mayorkas, who was in charge of the border in the Biden administration, was a board member of HIAS, HIAS. What does HIAS stand for, Isaiah?
Mm-hmm.
Can we find it in there?
The Hebrew Immigration Assimilation Society or something, right?
See if we can find it on there. See if it has it.
Yeah.
Because I just want to, again, let's common sense.
Right here. They just changed their website.
We're not needing geniuses here. We just need people that can put two and two together.
Just says HIAS is the world's oldest refugee agency, originally founded by Jews to help fellow Jews. HIAS estimates that the families more than half of the current American Jewish community at one point were supported by the programming.
I'm going to ask Rock what HIAS stands for.
It's that they don't want to say, Rob. They don't want you to know.
You don't want us to know in there?
No.
Let's see what HIAS stands for.
Because they went from Jewish immigration and they went to all immigration. That's kind of their.
Part of this investigation for me is why was Charlie Kirk killed? I don't know that you're ever going to know who killed or anything else, but we should ask the motive. So it stands for Hebrew
Immigrant Aid Society. Sorry.
Hebrew Immigration Aid Society. Is that China, Isaiah?
Lots of Hebrew Chinese people, right?
Is Alejandro Mayorkas Chinese,
Mm.
Isaiah?
No.
Did the Chinese allow for our borders to be wide open, Isaiah? Was that the Chinese, or was that Alejandro Mayorkas, a Cuban Jew who was impeached in the House, and then another Jew by the name of Chuck Schumer wouldn't take it up in the Senate?
Yep. And now you got President Trump saying this. President Trump says if Republicans don't win the midterms in America, we'll have a massive illegal immigration invasion, which would make Spain look like nothing. Be afraid. The Democrats get in charge.
Democrats. It's always the Democrats. It's just the way the game is played. And I, for one, have studied long enough to think that, you know what it is, Isaiah? I think I know what it is. Have you ever, are you a sports fan? I just tell you.
I grew up swimming, so it was hard. Of course I'm a sports fan. I watch baseball.
You know a lot about baseball? Are you a baseball person?
I know a lot about old baseball before, like McGuire, Pujols.
Well, I'm just talking about the sport of baseball.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing, my son played college baseball.
I didn't even see you had your Font Bon shirt on today.
Yep. I was a coach for about 10 years. We had we prepped kids for major college baseball and for the professionals. I was aligned with 2 professional baseball players. I was on the board of something called the St. Louis Gamers. I know baseball backwards and forwards, sideways. I know baseball probably better than I know anything in the world. Okay. So if I go to a baseball game and somebody is watching a baseball game for the first time and they go, why is this person standing there? Why is this person doing this? What does that mean? What does this mean? In your mind, it's so simple. It's a complex game. If you bet on baseball, every pitch changes the outcome and the odds. So you have to have a mind for baseball. I don't think that our society has a mind for finding the truth anymore because we've outsourced our ability to think to the schools and to the media and to the politicians. And that's why I say the First Amendment to the Constitution is so important, and we're just giving it away. We're basically saying, okay, let these big conglomerates who are controlling our lives come in and buy up all the media outlets, and then they'll just tell us whatever they want. And they'll limit the reach of people that tell you the truth. So the people that want to have an honest conversation to get to the bottom of these things, to clean up our country, to protect our borders, to educate our kids properly, to have clean food, to have clean air, to have clean water, to have a thriving society, to eat fresh food. The people that are trying to get to that as the American way of life and maybe not start wars all over the world, we get suppressed. We see it. Isaiah is a genius. He sees it. And we're not the only ones. You're not the only one.
Oh, I know that one.
It's just you can't get information out. It's so depressing. It's so depressing. The people that are honestly doing this for the right reasons, not trying to get rich, just trying to get information out, trying to have a conversation with people who disagree with them, we're the ones that get screwed. And the people like Benny Johnson, a no-talent bum who doesn't know his ass from a hole of ground and changes his opinion on everything, that guy is the one that gets all the major interviews and has this big audience, and it makes no sense. Everybody knows it doesn't make any sense. You think Benny Johnson would sit down and debate me about any one of these topics that he covers? Of course not. I've forgotten more than Benny Johnson knows, but Benny Johnson has the pretty hair. He reads the script. He knows the storylines. He covers those storylines. He aligns with all of the thieves and con artists in our government. He's Benny Johnson. And you could go on down the line with all of these people, Sean Hannity, everybody at Fox News, the morning show, all of it. You could it's right across the board.
Did you know that Benny Johnson was with Glenn Beck before? Did you know that?
What's that?
Did you know that Benny Johnson was with Glenn Beck at Blaze Media before?
What a shocker.
Yeah. Well, I left that comment up there for a purpose, this one, because I don't know if you've seen this.
Charlie had a great joke and I couldn't help myself. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Have you seen this? We'll have to find this debate. I've seen it many times where Charlie has a good conversation with a military veteran talking about Israel and control and things like that. And a lot of people point to that debate saying that was a turning, ironic, sorry, no pun intended, but a turning point for Charlie Kirk as far as Israel comes.
No, I'm embarrassed because I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I mean, he's got some, I don't expect
we got 26 minutes. Can you find it? Is it long?
I've seen short clips of it, just, like an edited clip. I might be able to find it, but we can try.
That's something I'd be very interested in.
Because says she has the link. Send the link to the Robb Carter Show at gmail.com right now.
2 B's. The Robb Carter Show at gmail.com. Isaiah, one of the things that's interesting about Charlie Kirk dying was Charlie Kirk was the one that does what we do. Takes on everybody who wants to have the conversation. Isn't it interesting though when you see the
You could also
correlation
put it at
between
this website here. Sorry.
the way you and I think?
Mhm.
You and I want to engage with everybody and really have genuine conversation about what's going on, and that's what Charlie Kirk did.
Mhm.
They kill the peacemakers. They kill the people that want peace, and they promote the people that want war. Look at Lindsey Graham, and I mean Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity is amazing to me. I mean, who could watch Sean Hannity anymore? It's amazing that people are still paying attention to Sean Hannity. But look at the people that want to start wars all the time and how much they are put onto Fox News, and they're constantly on Fox News telling you about how we need to, kill the Iranians if we just take out their bridges, if we just take out the RGC, if we just do this, if we take out the Iraqis and we get rid of the weapons of mass destruction that weren't there and nobody is responsible for it. It's just over and over again. But the correlations between what Charlie Kirk was doing and what a lot of people in the independent press are doing is having open conversations to get to the truth, because you can't get truth anywhere else. And those people are suppressed. It's so depressing. Suppressed and depressing. Did you find it?
Right. Not yet. I was trying to pull up all that
You
stuff.
look for that. You look for that, and I'll do. Let me do a couple more advertising hits real fast. Okay. And by the way, advertisers, I love you so much.
I can't look and do the advertising at the same time.
I'll do it without it. You don't have to do
Okay.
it. RackCustomCoatings.com. Now again, you're not going to see a visual today, but this is my good friend Rich McQuay. And what he does, he uses epoxy on floors, but he can do anything. Hangars, schools, industrial spaces. The one that I love are garages. If you're somebody of means and you're in the St. Louis, St. Charles County area, and if you've ever seen somebody really do really well, do the job well with epoxy on your garage floors, it looks amazing. And if you're somebody who uses a man cave or goes out there and spends time in the garage, maybe you like to park your beautiful car and you don't want the oil stains all over your garage floor and it just looks kind of gross. When I got it done, I had a 4-car garage. Isaiah, I was living good, if you remember back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
4-car garage, and my buddy Ryan did it for me. He did the flooring, and he didn't spend a lot of money on it, so it wasn't like done professionally. He's just a buddy of mine who knew how to do it. I loved it. I opened my garage door the first time he'd done it, and I'm like, oh my God, that looks amazing. So Rich McQuay does this. He's been around since 2001, locally owned and operated, and family owned. So if you are somebody who wants to get their garage cleaned up, if you're somebody who makes decisions on industrial spaces, hangars, floors, retail spaces, you name it, great price, quality craftsmanship, and just a fan of the show and somebody we really wish the best for. Just a terrific guy and does absolutely amazing work. RackCustomCoatings.com, 636-398, 5040. What's going on here? 636-398-5040. And then I got to get to rocketcareers.com. Rocketcareers.com. Now he's on vacation, so when I don't see him in the app, I get very nervous.
He commented.
Was he? Okay.
Yep.
So Mitch and I have been friends since we were in high school. He's just a wonderful person. I know him as a person. That's why I know his business is the same way he is as a man. He is an infectious personality. He's happy. He loves people and loves to help people. And his business is job placement. So he works on both sides. So if you're an employer and you have a human resources department who just doesn't get good candidates, you can't find the right people for your job. And as a small business owner, if you can't find the right people, your business is going to suffer. He'll put the right people before you because he vets them. He talks to them. He knows where people belong in businesses. Terrific for small to medium-sized businesses. Lean on him when you're trying to hire. He'll do a great job for you. It will improve your business. It's just that simple. And if you're out of work and hate your job, you're in a cubicle right now listening to the show and you're trying to hide the earphones in because you can't get out of your little cubicle, he'll help you launch a new career. They'll get your resume update, and they have this is a nationwide business, coast to coast. Coast to coast, they'll find jobs for you that will help you improve your life, because when you love your work, you love your life. RocketCareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. My good friends, Mitch and Brian, you can reach them at 636-778-2419, 636-778-2419, or just check them out at RocketCareers.com. All right, Isaiah, did you find it?
I think so. Check your email to see if you got an email for a video, but I found a video. I mean, I'm flying through the internet, so I hope it's the right one, but
yeah, she's got it right here.
Okay, cool. Forward that to me.
All right, you want me to email or text?
Yeah, you can just either one, whatever's easiest.
I'll forward it on email.
Email is probably easiest.
See, this is what I mean about this is what
Yep,
happens.
and then you can do slap happy hemp really quick.
Let me do Slap Happy Hemp. Okay, sent that to you. And this guy, John Grady, has become a friend of the show. He is running for office in the state of Missouri. I went out and met with him. He is a war veteran. He is a brilliant guy when it comes to understanding what the role of government is. I dig him. I hope he wins. His business was destroyed because he ran a hemp shop. And then Missouri came in and changed all the laws, and they monopolized the marijuana business. And when they monopolized the marijuana business, they didn't want any hemp business getting in their way. So all the hemp businesses in November are bye-bye. All the hemp businesses in the state of Missouri go bye-bye in November. So he's going to reconstitute with a new business. But in the meantime, if you're somebody that uses hemp products, you got to go to slaphappyhemp.com. This is one of us. Great guy, military veteran. Hope he's going to win his race out there in Rosebud. But I think he's a great guy. And we need people like that in the Missouri government big time. Slaphappyhemp.com. Get all of your hemp products at a discounted price now until November. And then when he starts his new business, we'll move into that. Slaphappyhemp.com. Slaphappyhemp.com. 636-388-8771. 636-388-8771. If you're in his district, vote for John Grady. Just a terrific guy and a big, proud advertiser and sponsor of what we're doing here. Okay. Find it?
Even though he's listening to Nadine this morning, it's okay. We forgive you.
He's not listening to Nadine.
I'm just teasing.
He wouldn't be texting up. He's listening to Nadine.
All right. This is, so she sent you a 16-minute video, but I just wanted to verify that the clip that I have, this is a 1.5-minute video I have. But that's the full context there on the video she sent you, but this will be a portion of it.
That the Jews run the American government.
That's not a secret, Charlie.
Well, no, I find it hilarious that
all of Trump's cabinet is Jewish. Israel did 9/11, Charlie.
Oh, they did. Wow.
Why are we in the middle? I served. Why were we in the Middle East?
So if Israel did 9/11, help me understand this. Who were the hijackers of the planes?
They weren't hijackers.
Oh,
CIA.
okay.
CIA and Israel worked together.
No. Explain to me what happened on the aircraft.
Okay, first off, what we have to understand, there's only one plane that actually crashed.
No, there were 3.
No, the buildings imploded. World War II was fought not over what everyone thought it was fought of. Every war is fought it is funded by the rich, the Rockefellers, all the rich, the Rothschilds.
Okay, yeah, let me ask you a question.
They funded all those wars.
Was Hitler bad?
I think Hitler was bad, yes.
Did the Holocaust happen?
The Holocaust did happen.
How many people died?
Not 6 million.
How many?
It was not 6 million. I don't have an exact number, Charlie.
Yes.
I don't have an exact number. It wasn't.
Okay, but you said
million.
it's not 6 million. You must have an alternative. How do you know it's not 6 million?
The reason why Jews have been run out of 109 countries throughout history is because every time they get into a country, they try and take it over. In Nazi Germany, again, they were having transgender surgeries, underground transgender surgeries. They were promoting homosexuality in schools.
Anti-Semitism.
We've been lied to since the beginning of this country. Jews, Freemasons, all of it's a satanic agenda. Israel is the synagogue of Satan. They're killing innocent people in Palestine over the guise of sovereignty. New World Order is coming, Charlie.
Guys, let me tell you, anti-Semitism is literally a brain cancer.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because that was that point, Rob. That's where he shifted and he started speaking out against Israel.
I know. It's so fascinating to watch the evolution of Charlie, for me anyway, because I went through the evolution. I went through it with Charlie Kirk.
Me too.
You know, I went through that evolution myself. I was Israel. I love Israel. Israel's the greatest. Israel. And then I started going, wait a minute. Why do I believe? I don't know anything about Israel. What am I cheerleading for Israel if I don't know anything about Israel?
Mm-hmm.
And then what really changed my mind was the USS Liberty Vets. And by the way, he did say he would come into town for our People's Lobby Missouri meeting. So I'm going to
fantastic
and bring in Phil Turney and maybe Bryce. What's Bryce's name? The guy from Springfield that was on the USS Liberty.
Oh, Bryce.
I lost your volume, by the way. Isaiah does that to me all the time.
I just unplugged my thing when I went and grabbed this card. Sorry. Bryce Lockwood.
Bryce Lockwood. So Bryce Lockwood was on Tucker Carlson. Phil Turney was on Candace Owens. We met. Good Lord, the Wesley Webbit. We went to Washington D.C. and met with them along with Thomas Massey, and we got to spend the entire day with these guys. We filmed all of it. Had conversations with Thomas Massey. Had conversations with everybody that was involved. That was there that day. I think there were 17 of them. I think Isaiah 15 to 17. I think there was 15 originally, and then 2 came later.
Yep.
They all tell the same story.
Mm-hmm.
So again, ask your government if 15 Navy sailors look you dead in the eye at the age of 80 and say that we know for 100% certain that Israel bombed our ship intentionally and our own government told us to shut up about it. What do you make of this recent NDAA? What do you make of the assassination of Charlie Kirk being diverted to transgenderism? What do you make of Fox News and CNN always saying it's China, 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 when just any kind of common sense at all, Isaiah, just any common sense at all would tell you they're lying to you about it because it doesn't make any sense. Why would Donald Trump say he's going to bring in 600,000 Chinese students if they were the enemy? I mean, come on, that doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Or think about this too. He's going to be the border czar. He's going to close the borders. There's no immigration, but we need that. We need the Hispanics for hospitality. That's okay.
And agriculture.
And agriculture. We need them, right? Hillary Clinton, you're crooked. If I was president, you'd be arrested. Everyone, this is the greatest lady in the world right here. Everyone stand up.
Respect for these two people. And
give her a round of applause, everyone, right now here in Mar-a-Lago. It's the Clintons, everyone. Yep.
Isaiah, what is your take? Because I've never really asked you. You've heard my opinion on it. Why are people not seriously taking a look at Donald Trump being a complete lying scumbag? Why don't they? I'm talking. I know that a lot of people think that, but the people that are like, they're completely tied to whatever Donald Trump says, and they believe it's 5D chess, and they think he's doing the right thing. How do they explain the overwhelming amount of evidence to the contrary? How do they? How do you think that they get there?
I think
because again, you and I don't want to. You and I are we lean more toward 2016 Donald Trump. But again, even if you look at Donald Trump and TPUSA, even if you look at the attachment, when Donald Trump was asked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, he goes, "Look at the new ballroom I got going on over here." And everybody goes, "Well, he didn't hear it." I'm like, "Well, he acknowledged that he heard it." And then he said, "Look at the ballroom." What do you mean he didn't hear it? Of course he heard it. He acknowledged it.
Yeah.
But they can't reason the idea that Donald Trump is asked about Charlie Kirk and then he deflects to the new ballroom that's being built. They can't reason. They can't that for some reason they can't go, "Well, that's really odd. If somebody that you love was assassinated in such a horrific way right in front of everybody's eyes." And then 2 days later, somebody says, "What do you think about the Charlie Kirk assassination? How do you feel about it now, Mr. Trump?" And he goes, "Look at this ballroom I got going over here. This is going to be the greatest ballroom in the world." You would think that people would go, "That's kind of a strange response to what's going on." When Donald Trump says he's not going to take any money from Israel and calls Marco Rubio a puppet of Israel for taking money from the Adelsons, and then Donald Trump takes $250 million from the Adelsons, you would think people would go, "Well, that seems kind of odd. Didn't he just bash Marco Rubio and say he was going to be a puppet of the Adelsons? And then he takes $250 million from the Adelsons," and nobody goes, "Well, wait a minute. Can you at least answer that question for us?" When Donald Trump says that it was the Democrats that were behind COVID, when everybody with a functioning brain knows that he is the one that sold it, as I say every day, he sold it harder than Mike Lindell sells pillows. He sold COVID. He sold warp speed. He passed the CARES Act, which is what it was all about ultimately anyway. How do people justify all of these different data points with Donald Trump? He said he was going to lower the energy cost within the first year of his presidency, and they've skyrocketed. How does he endorse Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Ann Wagner? How do you endorse the swamp as you're getting rid of the swamp? How do people take all of this information and act like I'm the bad guy for recognizing it, Isaiah? Because I got that again.
Today, here's something new for you, Rob. Today, Eric Trump-backed defense technology company. Eric Trump-backed defense technology company SpaceEye goes public in $638 million SPAC deal. That's
they're making all kinds of money on the in the stock market as well. It's well documented. Anybody could look that information up. It's relatively simple. He is manipulating the stock market based on things that he's saying, and then the people around him are getting rich based on the statements that he's making publicly.
This is the problem.
It's easy to see.
This is the problem that we have, though, Rob, is that when President Trump was coming and rising and became president, Q rose also, and I think that just has so many people still convinced. And I'm not saying that there's not. Again, I understand where people are coming from with the Q argument. We know many people that are that tell us that we're wrong for not believing the Q argument, right?
Yes.
But I think because of that, it allows people, Rob, to say, well, that may look that way, but I know in the back of my head that he's doing things behind the scenes, so I can look past this.
That's why I talk about Bernays.
And I can say it may look that way, right? But that's not what's happening. Right. And I think that's where you and I we just don't understand that viewpoint, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's what Rick tells us. And I'm the kind of person that I'm just what you say and do. I'm going to look at those, and that's how I'm going to make a determination. You know what I mean? What do you say? Then what do you do? Does that line up, or is it different? And if it's different from what you say, if you say you're going to cut energy prices in half in 1 year from being elected, and then you don't, I think you're just lying to me then. And I can't. I think that you're lying about everything then, and I can't trust anything you say.
And again, as we're talking about Charlie Kirk, it ties to a bigger scenario.
Yeah, and Axon. Oh my gosh! Again, Axon's worse than Flock. It's like Flock, but it's worse because that's the company that's already.
This guy can't be. How's this guy from Australia when he knows so much about what's going on in this country? That's right. But Charlie Kirk. If for people that are listening, just primarily for Charlie Kirk, I want to just bring something to your attention. All of these things everything is done in the same exact manner. It's done through deception. It's done through massive propaganda and deception. That is why we continually talk about MK Ultra. We talk about Sigmund Freud and Bernays, because in my mind, I look at it and go, these are really smart people that I'm dealing with that believe that everything that Donald Trump says has an agenda behind it that is good for America. And I don't understand that point of view. I can say that, Donald Trump is if he's a good guy trying to do what's best for America, I can say that, man, he's got a really rough road ahead of him. I can understand those arguments. But to go out and sell unsuspecting people to take drugs from Pfizer and Moderna day in and day out, and I reported on it at the time, I go, what is he doing? Who would tell people to take a medicine from the swamp, which you're draining, that has no safety record whatsoever? There's not one person that could go in and go, here's all the information about these drugs, Mr. President, because they didn't exist. It was an experiment on the American people for the flu. That's all it was. It was a man-made creation to transfer money out of your pocket, show that they could consolidate power, and then move all that money into Wall Street. That's what the CARES Act was all about. And that's why he went after Massey. And you can love him all you want, and you can respect him all you want. You can say, well, look, Rob, they tried to kill all these different things. We're just talking about the results. Because when you become the president of the United States or you become the CEO of a company, you can't say, I tried so hard. You actually have to get things done. And
just right around the corner, Rob.
And these people act like he's gotten a ton done, and I don't see it. And I think it applies with Charlie Kirk as well. We should not have a half-assed investigation on Charlie Kirk with misinformation all over the place, and then hiding videos that they say they have, and they send out their shill, ridiculous Benny Johnson and Brandon Tatum, who's just an absolute moron, along with Benny Johnson and Jack Prosobic, who's just an absolute con man. Those are the guys that get to see it, but the public doesn't. And then the public goes, well, they say that they saw it. Just ask Jack Prosobic. He saw it in 4D. He knows. I'm like, well, I want to see it. Why can't I see it?
So true. The Rileys say what happens there, meaning America, affects Australia massively. And earlier, I think it was the Rileys that said this. Someone from Australia mentioned that they didn't have the Schofield Bible in Australia. And that's why Zionism didn't make sense to them, because they're like, what are you talking about? Bless. That's basically what their comment was saying earlier is, bless Israel, you'll be blessed. What are you talking about? Right. Yes. And I can tell you that's 100% true, because I don't know if you know about the Hillsong Church, but it's a very famous worldwide church that started in Australia. And it's very influenced by American evangelicalism and the non-denominational church nowadays. The modern church of how you see it today, of the lights, the stage, the music, right? That's a lot of creation.
With, Erica Kirk, the sparklers and the leather.
Yeah,
pants.
That's a lot from
very
Hillsong.
Normal. Very
a lot
normal.
from Hillsong. And Hillsong, New York was one of the most famous because the pastor there, he was friends with Justin Bieber, and then he ended up having an affair. It was public. There's a whole Hulu documentary about it, right? And you really find out when you understand how much Israel is in bed with these churches, and not just in America, but worldwide, in the influence
I had no idea
that they're trying to create through the pastors by getting them on their side.
That's
and it's
right.
not that the pastors have nefarious intent. Most of the time, I do not believe that the pastors are nefariously trying to mislead people. I think they just have a misunderstanding of Scripture. And because of that misunderstanding of Scripture, it's easy for them to say, yes, The Jewish people are the chosen people. They're God's chosen people. We must protect them. We must do everything we can to protect them.
Absolutely.
And so it's
I agree with you
I just
100%.
kind of triggered all those thoughts in my head, and I had to talk about that because I know the history there. I know the guy who started Hillsong Church. I can't
Well, that's
remember
your
the name.
background. You can
Yeah,
talk
that's
about it
I
forever.
worked in the big churches. If everyone didn't know, I worked with those churches and digital marketing and production and things like that. They would come and film. What's his name? I cannot remember. Brian and Bobby's last name. Oh my gosh.
I love when you start clicking away.
Well, what's Houston? Thank you, Houston. Brian and Bobby Houston. They would come to our church and film for their TV show at our church, and so I got to know these people, and that's the nature of what happened.
Why I don't hate the Zionist people that are in my life.
Yeah, and
because I think they absolutely are wonderful people, and they absolutely believe they're working on behalf of God. And I say you're got to start asking better questions. There's faith in God. There's not faith in church. And just because your church is saying something doesn't mean you should take it as gospel, right? You have to have your connection to God. Don't take somebody else's opinion for it. So here is she says, Rob, LOL, the Real One podcast. Can we keep an eye on that? Because she said
they're actually in there somewhere.
Yeah, she said you guys can connect. That's what we want to do. We want to connect with other people. We're doing this for the right reasons. And I know that I say that a lot and it probably irritates people, but our society is so money driven and everything is about how much you can get and how many clicks you can have and this, that, and the other. We are not taking that approach. We believe that we are going to get to where we're going because more and more people are going to start to look at information differently. They're going to weigh information differently. They're going to solve problems as a people and not through Democrat and Republican politics. We believe that is the future of our country and we want to be at the front of it. I'm 56 years old. I think I'll live to be about 125. I'm in great shape. Choking. I got to quit eating so much.
Marissa would have something else to say about that.
Marissa would have something else to say about it. But we want to combine forces. So if people are in it for the right reasons and they're investigating things and they're having open conversations, we're down with them. We'll promote them. We don't even care if they promote us. I'd like it, but they don't have to. We'll promote them. We open up this forum to anybody who's trying to do good.
We had Flat Earth Dave on, for God's sake.
Convince me the Earth was square. Convinced me it was square. All right. A couple of things I wanted to get to. Do you remember this, Isaiah? And I wonder how many other people do, because we go back to Israel. Do you know that Bibi Netanyahu bragged about mandating that every single person in Israel get vaccinated?
Oh, yeah, because that was one of their big things is 99%. Before we go on, they're asking how they connect with us, the podcast host. I know the chat's flying so fast, but they're asking how they can get it. You can go to the robcartershow.com/contact. If you fill that form out, we get an email right away to just a group email that we share, and then we can start going from there.
If you communicate with us, say that one is up there. So there you go. So if you have information where you say, Rob, I want you to follow this story. That's how we get most of our information is from our audience.
Yep.
When I was on the radio, it's getting that way now. It was more so on the radio because it was just a bigger audience, right?
Yeah.
In podcasting, you have a selective
You
audience.
got to build it out yourself.
Right. They might be listening to the Rob Carter show because they were listening to the morning show before me, or they were listening to Charlie Kirk after. So I get these, additional people. Now, when you go into your podcast, you have all the people that were really focused on your show and they follow you and they want to hear what you have to say. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is collaborate, build an audience, and learn from what you're learning. If you see something out there that says, that's really interesting information, Rob should look into that. Isaiah's basically a researcher. So we'll look into anything and we'll get that information out. We'll weigh it and we can make determinations on it. We have our own ideas, but we're smart enough to know we don't know everything. Is that fair, Isaiah? We're smart enough to know we don't know everything. Yes. And I wanted to get to this because when I was talking about Bibi Netanyahu said that all of Israel was vaccinated. Now, remember that. And then also remember that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was caught on a hot mic saying that the people that were immune to the vaccinations were Ashkenazi Jews. That interesting? And then last night I'm watching a debate between this Morandi guy and Alan Dershowitz on Piers Morgan show. I just got a clip of it. And he said, "You're not even a Semite. What are you talking?" This is the Iranian guy. He said he's talking to Alan Dershowitz, who's a horrible human being. He says, "You're not even a Semite. You're from Eastern Europe. You're not a Semite. We're Semites. The Palestinians are Semites. You're not a Semite." He goes, "And the people running Israel, they're from Poland. They're not Semites. You keep saying we're anti-Semitic. Those people aren't even Semites to begin with." And he was just giving them hell. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. Right?
Yeah, because Bibi's family's from Poland.
So the situation is you have Bibi Netanyahu saying everybody in Israel got vaccinated and bragged about it, and it was mandated upon the country of Israel. And then you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying that the vaccines on a hot mic were meant to kill white people and black people, but the Ashkenazi Jews were not susceptible to these vaccines.
Yep.
Make what you want out of
And
that.
it's scientific too, Rob. I followed that back in the day because I was like, man, this is very interesting because, my dad's Jewish. And so, what's going on here? Is this, is this, is there any validity to this? You know what I mean? Because I wanted to find out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is true. It's affecting black people more. It's affecting brown people more.
Isaiah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I looked into all this because my wife's a chiropractor too. So we're always talking about science stuff and medical stuff. And this was when she was doing her doctorate. And so, yeah, it seemed, this is years ago. So I'm trying to recall from years ago. Right. But if I'm remembering correctly, it affected brown and black people more than white people. And the Ashkenazi genome was not susceptible to it.
Wow. Very interesting.
Yeah. Because there is a in your DNA, people can identify, that's how they identify someone's Ashkenazi, Sephardic, or a Mizrahi Jew. Those are the 3 types of Jews. And that's the different strains of DNA that they are able to identify. That's where they got the Khazarian theory and things like that as well.
Where's the, so here, this is the name of Benjamin Netanyahu right here. That's his real name. Did you know that almost every leader of Israel is going by a different name they were born with?
Yeah, they get their Hebrew names, Rob. That's what they do.
It's just so bizarre to me. I just think that it's just a why.
Yeah,
it's
my Hebrew name. My Hebrew name is Ishayahu.
I'm gonna call you Isaiah. Sorry. Let's go to this because I this came across my feed the other day, and I thought, man, I just wonder if people know the story of Woody Harrelson, because Woody Harrelson is really connected to information in our country. Shall we say it that way? But here's Woody Harrelson. He was on Saturday Night Live. You might remember this. And he said there was a movie script that was given to him about, well, I'll let him play it. This is clip number 3, Woody Harrelson. Remember this, everybody? Check this out.
The movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea?
Man.
You remember that? That was big news when he did that. Do you know the story?
I only think of Kingpin when I see Woody Harrelson. That's the only movie. That's all I think about is Kingpin.
Do you know the story behind Woody Harrelson?
No.
Go to Wikipedia with Woody Harrelson, and I just curious how many people know these stories because Woody
Kingpin
Harrelson
is one of my favorite movies of all time. That's
hilarious. I saw that when I was up in Minnesota. But it's the story of Woody Harrelson is very interesting, and I don't think most people know it. His father was arrested for assassinating a judge involved in a drug trafficking case. Did you know that?
No.
So his father was in prison. It was widely reported when he first came on to Cheers, because that's where he got his start, was on Cheers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Where everybody knows your name?
Where everybody knows your name. That's where he got his start. If you go down to his family, go down and check out his family. Early life and education. See what it says about that. See if it says anything about his father.
Woodrow Tracy Harrelson was born on July 23rd, 1961 in Midland, Texas, to Secretary Diane Lewin, convicted contract killer Charles Boyd Harrelson.
So contract killer. So he killed a judge. Supposedly, he was an assassin who killed this judge for running drugs. And the only reason I bring that to your attention is if you look at what he calls them, drug dealers. He's calling the drug companies. He's making a joke, but he's making Moderna and Pfizer and all these people out to be drug cartels. They are drug cartels. They are drug cartels. That's what they are. The only difference between Escobar and Borla of Pfizer is one is legal in America and the other is illegal, and it's controlled by the intelligence agencies. That's the only difference between these two. And you can tell that by the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma. I had 3 family members die from it. Now, if 3 family members died from heroin, I'd go, oh my God, they got to get this heroin off the streets.
Yeah.
But when they were selling Oxycontin, that was synthetic heroin, when it was controlled through our own FDA, it's just another way for people to see the bigger system. You buy off the research that you need. You buy it off. Just kind of what they're doing with Charlie Kirk. They're buying the information off. They're selling you a bill of goods. They're using their media sources to sell it, this and that and the other. Same thing with OxyContin. The Sackler family and Purdue Pharma comes in. They sell synthetic heroin for pain. They tell people, and the FDA tells people, and even my own doctor said that it's not addictive. Synthetic heroin is not addictive. It kills hundreds and hundreds. 3 people in my family died from it. 3, Isaiah, 122, 127, and the 22-year-old's mother eventually died from it as well. Okay, so 3 people in my family, a 22-year-old who was a great athlete from a terrific family and a great kid, and the other one who was 27, who was an athlete and a musician and an absolute stud, died from it, got addicted to it. And how did that happen? It happened because of exactly what draining the swamp was intended to do, but we didn't learn our lesson then, and we're not losing our lesson through COVID. What they do is they buy off the regulators, because the regulators are bouncing back and forth between private and public entities. That's how they do it. So if I'm for example, if I'm in the FDA and I got the Purdue Pharma saying, hey man, we got something good here. We got synthetic heroin. If we can use this for pain, all the doctors will prescribe it because everybody that takes it will love it and they'll want more of it. And they'll call their doctor and go, boy, I like that OxyContin. I felt great on that. My knee didn't hurt. My back didn't hurt. I was feeling good. I need some more of that. And then they'll start prescribing it because it's legal and it was.
And by the way, FDA guy, if we get this passed, then hey, we got this position over here.
Correct.
That's it's $2 million a year. I know you're only making $80,000 a year in your terrible job there working for the government, but if we get this passed, maybe we can help you with this position over here.
This is what Robert F. Kennedy tried to explain with COVID. He said you have, I think it was Scott Gottlieb. He goes, Scott Gottlieb comes in and works as a regulator. He gets all of these things passed, and then he goes back into his private business. And because he got all these things passed, he gets a big bonus from his private company. And that's how it's fascism 101 is what it is. It is the infiltration of all of your institutions by big corporate money. So now all the institutions are working on behalf of big corporate interest and not the interest of everyday ordinary citizens. And that's what's happening in Missouri. That's what's happening in Florida. That's what's happening all over the world. And then you go, well, who runs all of those big corporations, Isaiah? Well, who do you think runs them? China? Is it China, Isaiah? Is China running our media compounds?
Yeah.
Are they running all of the media in the country? Is it China?
No.
I don't think it's China. And I think we need to pay attention to it because at some point we're going to be in trouble if we don't recognize what's happening here.
Yeah. You want to know something funny that I was thinking about the other day is that I never realized I never connected these dots, but the idea of early Zionism before Israel was founded, they were national socialists. Did you know that? They were nationalist socialists.
Who was?
The early settlers of Israel when Israel became a state in 1948, like David Ben Gurion. They were national socialists. Who else were national socialists?
Nazis.
Exactly.
Well, George Soros.
Yep.
George Soros was a Hungarian Jew who worked on behalf of the Nazis as a Jew because his father was tied to the power structure in the Nazi party. So he just said, I'm a Jewish kid. Take my Jewish kid so he doesn't get himself into any trouble because the mood had changed against the Jews. So he just said he was a Christian and he started working on behalf of the Nazis. And when he was asked whether it bothered him or not, he goes, no, if I hadn't done it, somebody else would have done it. They said, well, that would normally put a person on the couch, like with a therapist. And he said, no. This was not bothered. Did not bother me at all. Didn't bother me whatsoever. Not a big deal.
It's like that. You ever seen that Sean Ryan episode with the guy, the Vietnam vet? He's like, oh no, I would have done it again. No problem. It's an older guy. He's like, yep, no problem. I would have woke up, shot him. No problem. It's like, oh man, he was made for it.
Last clip of the day. Then we got to get out of here. Let's do, because I want to make the point. I think this is where the world has to head if we're going to fix our problems. The reason the First Amendment is the First Amendment is because if you do not talk about these things, if you do not learn how to communicate, if you don't learn how to have arguments and debates with people you disagree with, we're in big trouble because that allows for charlatans to pit us against one another, keep us fighting as they steal all the money and steal all your liberty and steal all your freedom. That is the premise, and that is what is happening and has happened in this country for far too long. That is what's happening. And by the way, for all of the new listeners, like, share, comment, subscribe, please, pretty please with Sugar on Type. It does so much good for us to break some of these algorithms.
Especially talking about Israel.
When you talk about Israel and elections, those are the two things they don't like you talking about, and that's the primary basis.
And COVID.
And COVID, for example. All right, so please like, comment, share, and subscribe, especially if you're listening on Rumble. Bang that little bell button. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe to us. That's free. It just helps.
Comment too. Don't just don't engage just in the chat. Go ahead and leave a comment for us on the videos. You
Good, bad, or indifferent. We don't care. Whatever you got to say, we'll listen to you. This is Candace Owens, and I think she's right. Now, again, I've said Candace Owens, from a personal standpoint, always makes me just a little bit nervous because of her background with her husband. It was very odd. He's tied to British royalty, in my opinion. That's who she married him after knowing him for 10 days. They didn't even kiss or hold hands.
Mm-hmm.
The whole story seems a little odd to me, but what do I know? I'm not saying it. I question these things. That's all. But I do agree that she was Charlie Kirk's friend. He definitely thought she was a friend. She has put her life on the line, telling these stories. So I have a lot of respect for the information that she's getting out there. I haven't heard it all, so she may have said some boneheaded thing. I don't know. I just don't know. But I think
we all, Rob. That's the thing. That's what I don't understand.
I do. And I think she's trying to get to the truth. I do believe that she's trying to get to the truth as it applies.
And when you're trying to get to the truth, you might say something that just might not be true.
And sometimes
because you're not making it, you're also not asserting something. You might be asking a question and people think you're asserting, an opinion.
Right. And it can be misconstrued and everything else. This is what she said about decentralized information. Okay. I think this is just a post, but I want to get this out there real quick.
Cool. And yes, the Real Alone podcast, I got the email right here. I just sent it over to Rob so he can reach out and get us all set up for you. So
somebody said use code words. That might be the best way to go about it. Is use code. I think we're labeled.
Code words. I know, right?
I think we're labeled.
Yeah. We have been labeled by we've been labeled by the Republican Party already. They attack us.
By everybody. Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Which one number was that?
16.
16. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Let's pull this post up. I thought it was a clip I was looking for.
I think it's a post.
Yeah, that was my apologies.
I think she's getting death threats because she's definitely
sure.
Over the last week, she's released some information I think is contradictory to. People must not know she had it. I'm guessing. I don't know. So Candace Owens says, if I have all of my electronics seized, try not to be shocked when every piece of footage and evidence hits the internet immediately anyway. When an investigation is truly decentralized, there is no nucleus that can be captured. And that is my argument.
That is a fact, Jack.
Where is it? I'll give it to you if you want it.
That's the fact, Jack! That's the fact, Jack!
Sorry, Kurt. I know it hurts your ears.
I tried to turn it down just a little bit right before, but I might not have got to it. That is the old underlying theme of the day, and we'll leave it there. If you have decentralized information, if Fox News cannot funnel what they want to say and then get it out to millions and millions of people and brainwash everyone, if they can't do that anymore and information is decentralized, conversations with people, where are you going to get better news? Honestly, God, think about it, Isaiah. Packaged news on Fox News are an open conversation where hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people are commenting on what we have to say. We can learn from one another. We can disagree with one another, and we move forward happily ever after.
Is that what Charlie wanted? That's what I'm just trying to remind people of. That's exactly why Charlie died. That's what he died for, is that he wants us to have these conversations and disagree.
What do you say? When you stop asking questions, you stop being free. When you stop asking questions, you stop. That was Charlie Kirk's right at the end of his life. That's what he said. So for all of those people that are smearing Candace Owens, that are trying to smear us, that tell everybody to shut up, the official story from Crazy Eyes, Cash,
or fall in line with the Republican Party,
and the Mangina Dan Bongino, those two guys are telling you that everything is just hunky dory, like they did with the Jeffrey Epstein murder, just like they do with everything. They're completely full of it. I would pay no attention to them whatsoever. Anybody that's listening to Dan Bongino for anything other than comedy is insane. Anybody that's paying attention to Benny Johnson is insane. Jack Brzovic is insane. These are people that are there to sell you misinformation. They'll give you a lot of great information that you go, oh, that makes sense. It's like anything that's a con. A con gains your confidence by telling you the truth, because the underlying thing they're trying to get away with is something they keep hidden. And that's just the way it's working in our media. Got to change it at some point. Anything else to say other than Moe's Pizza? Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say about Candace is that she goes to church every single week. She's Catholic. A very religious, devoted person. I think there's something to that, just like I think with Charlie, as a devoted Christian man. I think you look at the heart of people, and you look at, God knows their heart, and we can only judge what we're seeing from their heart. But the Bible tells us that out of, from your mouth, it's flowing from your heart, basically. And so I look at her, I look at someone who's got a good family, a godly life. And I just want to, it's not like, again, not everything she says is, going to be 100% factual. Sometimes I can understand that. Sometimes she's just asking questions to figure things out because she doesn't know and no one knows. And she's just asking those questions. But if someone
She
has that
knows
kind
the
of,
other side is lying. That's what she knows.
yeah, but if
Kind
someone
of
has that kind of
emotion.
character,
Yeah.
that's my point. Someone has that kind of character, I think it's worthy to at least listen to them. If she's someone who's hanging out at the clubs every week and she's saying, hey, who cares about traditional marriage, right? Just go sleep with anyone that you want to. It doesn't matter. Traditional values don't care, blah, blah, blah. I think people would have a different viewpoint of her. But because of her life and the values that she's promoting and everything that you can look at her life and see the good fruits. That's what in Christianity, that's what we're looking at, is the good fruits of their life. And I say she's got good fruits. The fruit is there. And so whether you agree with everything she says, I do believe that she is a Christian and a good person to at least listen to.
A force for good.
Yeah,
Stuff
force
Beagle
for
says,
good. That's the best way to say it, Rob.
Stuffed Beagle says, the Rob Carter Show, you are welcome to contact me for more info on EMT stories. So you got to reach out to us. I wouldn't know how to contact you.
Yeah, so if you can reach out on our website, therobcartershow.com/contact. I'll throw up the banner here for us.
We have some Candace naysayers, I see.
Oh,
There you
yes.
go. So if you want to reach out to us and you have information, we'll use it. I mean, we're here every day for 3 to 4 hours a day, so we get a lot of information out to the
You got
public.
a tip, you got someone you want us to collaborate with,
It's
anything.
Friday, Isaiah. I got to rest. It's been a long week. So last thing I'll say is, if you're in Washington, Missouri, or Franklin County, one of our greatest sponsors is Moe's Pizza in Washington, Missouri, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. God owns the place. He just works there. If you're in Washington, Missouri, you already know about Moe's Pizza. But if you're in the surrounding area and you get a chance, get out to Moe's Pizza. As I always say, great pizza and salad bar, chicken wings, great sandwiches. The burgers look amazing. I haven't had one yet, and delicious ice cream. But again, just great people. They've been proud sponsors all the way back to the radio days. They've stuck with us, and I love their business. They're packed every time I go in there, so I don't think they need me anymore.
Good, godly people.
Good, godly people. Moe's Pizza. Again, if you have any kind of get-together, banquets and the like, birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, and Bible studies, it's Moe's Pizza at the corner of Grand and 5th Street in Washington, Missouri. When it's time for lunch, get there. Okay, Isaiah. That's all we got for today. Thanks for all of the Charlie Kirk fans and the Candace Owens fans and the Candace Owens naysayers and the Charlie Kirk questioners. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. You can check us out on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, and I should say X, I guess, and Spotify.
I know I still have that problem too with the X and Twitter. I find myself interchanging all the time.
I guess people know who it is. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you again Monday morning.
See you guys.